Mm.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
So you can monitor it here instead of here. Now we're able to.
Yeah.
No. See, check it.
Yeah.
Is that your Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Zoom here. But I want to make sure that
we are back on, finally on.
Yeah.
Thank God
I appreciate it.
that He made a way.
Yeah.
Have you shared that timeline?
Okay. I want to see myself, else I can't communicate. Thank you so much, Reverend Derek and Reverend Selgilia, Agre Solomon, for your patience, the endurance, and for how long that you've stayed with us through and through. And before we start, I'll take this opportunity to apologize sincerely to all our fans, followers of the Marriage School and Be Intentional with Chesca, and anybody who has been waiting out there. We really apologize. We had very, very bad technical challenges, and we couldn't get through easily. We've been trying for the past how many hours?
We tried this
over 2 hours now. Almost 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours.
That's right. Yeah. But thank God we are here, and the message is still valid.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go on. But before we go on, Reverend Derek, could you please pray with us that the Lord will lead us in this discussion, because we both agree that marriage is God's idea.
That's right.
And He made it, He created it. He created it to be a very beautiful thing. And as we walk on this journey to discover what He's got for us, we need Him to guide us on this discussion so that we come to that place where we see marriage as He sees it.
Yeah.
And today we get the blueprints. So if you could please lead us on.
Yeah, Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to bless your name and thank you. Your word says in all things we should give thanks to you. We thank you even for all these delays. And Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to still come out. Lord, we commit ourselves into your hands that you will anoint us and give us utterance and wisdom. Make us a blessing to all our hearers. We commit our hearers into your hands, Lord. That, Lord, they will find answers. They will find healing. They will find deliverance. They will find solutions, oh God. That, Lord, no one will listen to this broadcast and go back the same. They will be blessed. They will be touched. They will be strengthened. They will be empowered. They will be restored in the name of Jesus. We thank you, sweet Holy Spirit, for what you will do this afternoon. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. I'm quite new to Zoom anyway, so I don't even know if we would see the questions coming up or
I can share screen.
yeah, but we'll try. I believe you are pro on Zoom, so you can guide us along as well. And
we've used it for church. We use it for church. So but we haven't broadcast from Zoom to Facebook.
Okay.
No, so yeah.
Okay, so we'll see how it goes. And I think this is going to be a discussion, more of a discussion than me hosting a program, and then we can discuss it together. The last
not sure if you can switch the page in such a way that it will show both you and us. It's only showing you at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Because I've done it on my personal feed, it's showing all four of us. But on what is going out, it's only so if you slide in.
Yeah, I get it. It's only one, like.
Yeah, if you just slide out.
Have we got it now?
No, not yet.
Let's see. All right.
Is it still showing one?
Yeah, it's just
showing
true.
now on my phone.
Okay, yeah. It will come out. It's come out.
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
second
Okay.
30-second delay. So
Okay.
you've got that right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So are we going to see people's questions and discussion coming up though? Are we going to see?
I hope so. I hope so.
Anyway, we would get going as long as we are here.
Yeah, you can see. I can see.
So thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for your patience and for staying with us here. And so we're going to go straight into it. For some time now, we've been having a discussion. I'm hoping to be hosting this with my handsome husband here, but I know he's going to hide behind the technicalities of things and not have to talk. So I'll find a way to go about it. And we're going to talk for some time now. We've been dealing about building authentic intimacy. And I think we all agree that when we talk of intimacy, it's not necessarily about sex. Intimacy has a broader meaning than just sex. But as we brush a bit on intimacy, we're going to focus on the sexless marriage, because this is a challenge that is growing in the church, is growing in leaps and bounds in the church. And I have had questions as I started dealing with the topic of authentic intimacy. I've had questions coming through to me, and I thought that it would be appropriate to come from the pulpit, because I think that in the first place, if we are not talking about sex in marriage coming from the pulpit as God's idea, if I have a problem in that area, how do I even come to the church with that problem? Because we don't talk about it in the first place. And when Ken and I were discussing this, there was an interesting aspect that came up, and I think I'm going to start from there as we zoom into it. It was about the fact that during marriage counseling, I don't believe you to counsel people that way, because I know this is a ministry you're handling, but most of marriage counselings that people go to, I mean, premarital counselings, or before even having to go for the premarital counseling, as a young woman, as a young man, you are taught that God's word speaks against fornication. You're not supposed to have premarital sex. You're supposed to stay pure until you get married, until God brings you the woman or the man that is the bone of your bone and the flesh of your flesh, for you to live together before you enter into that aspect of life God has given us. However, I think what this comes across, I'm saying it might not be so with everybody, but I personally, I found that it was all about don't do it before marriage, don't do it before marriage, don't do it before marriage. And then just when you enter into marriage, it is assumed that automatically a switch should be on and you should know how to do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And do it well.
You know, and do it well, and enjoy it. Satisfy your husband, satisfy your wife. And as a young person, I don't think you are able to grasp the depth of what it means to enter into that covenant, what it takes, what it involves, the fact that there will be times you don't want it, the fact that there will be times that is difficult, the fact that it's not all lovey-dovey as we see it in the movies and everything. So going in and suddenly a switch is turned off. I got married at age 27, and I'm thinking, if I've kept myself till age 27 and I have no clue, I have no idea, apart from the fact that I was supposed to keep myself till then. And now I have entered in and I'm supposed to be the best wife who satisfies her husband without knowing what it takes. I think that is one cause of intimacy anorexia, or one cause of sexless marriage, because you go in and realize that it is not what you may have anticipated. Or it may not be what you were told, what you saw on the movies. is different. And I think that approach to some extent has caused sexless marriages as well, because you go in and realize there are actually times you are tired and you really don't want to. There are times you are not happy, or you found yourself with a husband who wants it 5 times in a day, 6 times in a day. How are you supposed to deal with it?
Then you are blessed if you find yourself in that kind of person.
Really?
You should go and give an offering.
That's right, preach it.
What is your take on that, Pastor?
I think that the approach, like you said, we don't talk about the importance of sex in church. We only always present it as a sinful thing. You see, as a sinful thing, that all of a sudden when you marry, now it is the all-in-all thing, which is not right. Sex should be presented as something very good right from the beginning, right from even childhood through youthful stage. Children, the youth, everybody should be taught about it and how important it is, how good it is. However, with the warning that you must get a license before you do it. Just the way we make children understand that driving is a very good thing. Driving helps the family to overcome so many things, to be able to go out and do this, that. However, you must get a license before you drive.
That's right.
So that people will look forward to it. People will look forward to the day they will get their license, and then when they get their license, they are happy to drive. Also, you have to let them see the importance of it, so that when they get into it, they know that this thing is not about, and I'll come to the other side of it, but it's not about whether I enjoy it or not. It's not about whether it makes me happy or doesn't make me happy. It is an important thing needed in the family, needed in the marriage. You need it. You need it. It's like the engines of an airplane. Without it, you either cannot fly, or if you are already flying and you lose those engines, you are coming down. Either way, you need it. So we've got to always find a way. How do we keep sex up, alive, and on fire throughout? And definitely there'll be times where our fire will be going down. There'll be times where we'll be feeling maybe we are offended with each other, presentation. There'll be 1,001 reasons why you may not want to engage. But if you know that it's extremely important, you'll find a way of getting back to it, just because you know how important money is. Sometimes you don't feel like going to work, but you still go.
That's a good point.
You have to see that sex is as important to the marriage as money is important to life. So you find excuses to do it, rather than finding excuses not to do it. But we've got to teach. The church really has to be strong on it to promote it constantly.
That's right.
Thank you, Minister Chesca and Minister Ken.
Chesca and Fine will.
Chesca and Ken will be fine.
Right. To add to what Pastor Derek just said, unfortunately, sex is something that's not talked about in church. Now, we have to understand that sex is God's idea. To borrow your words, Mr. Chesca. Sex was created by God. Unfortunately, we have left it for the world. I personally think that the institution or the people who should be teaching and talking about sex should be the church and not the world. Because the church, the world is not teaching it right. The church should teach it right. I remember when I was going for counseling before marriage. My counselor told me everything, spent hours to tell me everything, but spent probably about 30 minutes to talk to me about sex. That was a day before the wedding. He said, tomorrow, something along these lines. Tomorrow when you get married, you have sex. Here you go, that's a lubricant. That's about all he said. And I was
No wonder
what. That is about all he said. And so you are right, you go into marriage not knowing what to do with it. not knowing how to go about it. And your husband has expectations, you also have expectations. And if you are not taught to do it right, you may end up not enjoying the aspects of marriage. So I believe that the church should stop treating sex as a taboo. They'll talk about everything. They'll talk about giving, worship, everything, prayer, and then they will never mention sex. They will never mention sex. Everything else we talked about. Even when you ask questions at church about sex, you look like a carnal person. Like you are the falling. Exactly, you are the falling one. You are the one who has backslid. Everybody is falling, and you're asking questions about sex. So I believe that the church should take that responsibility and actually teach it properly, so that when people get into marriage, they will have an idea of what sex is about and be able to enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Pastor Selji. That is so profound. And and when we were discussing it, you mentioned something, because we're talking as if it's only the person who is probably a virgin before they get into the marriage who might suffer intimacy, anorexia, because it's all new to them and it carries on. Even people who are not virgins, who went into sex before marriage and they didn't have a good experience, could carry it into their Christian marriage and have that perception as. And having said that, there were things we came across that could be the reasons or the causes of intimacy, anorexia. And like we're saying, if you just joined in, we're talking about the sexless marriage as part of intimacy, anorexia. And some of the things that that causes that is maybe a child who was abused sexually. And actually, I found that some people have a sickness that stops them from enjoying sex as well. So there are medical underlying issues that could stop somebody from enjoying sex and everything. But these are situations, and even some people don't want to even be touched. Don't want you to hug me in public. I don't want you to kiss me in public. I don't want your hand around me in public. And that's because maybe growing up, that's what they saw. That's what they saw in their homes. They're not used to anybody giving them cuddles. They're not used to anybody giving them a peck or showing any form of affection. So in the counseling session, it's very important that these things are discovered. But one question I would ask, I think Ken wants to come in, but before Ken comes in, one question I would ask is, whilst we are waiting, whilst we are not supposed to be engaging in premarital sex, as the word of God states, whilst we're not supposed to be kissing each other, fondling each other, and everything, should I get married? How am I going to know I married somebody who is suffering from intimacy anorexia?
You wouldn't know. Prior to marriage, you wouldn't know. But once you get into the marriage, you see, that's why marriage is not for children.
That's right.
Unfortunately, a lot of emotionally immature people are getting married. A lot of psychologically immature people are getting married. And so when you marry, or when they marry and they find themselves with these kind of people, they don't know how to deal with them. Because you see, all these things we've talked about, it's just a condition of the mind.
That's right.
A person doesn't want to be touched because there is a certain door locked in the head. They don't want to have sex because there is a certain door locked in the mind. But it takes wisdom. The Bible says that the way of the foolish wearieth every one of them, because he knoweth not how to go to the city.
That's right.
You see, when you know how to go to the city, it will not be wearisome. All you need is certain keys to open certain doors in the minds of your partner who is going through that, and they will be turned back on. God has created human beings in such a way that we all want sex. We all like sex. People will be switched off sex for reasons. And so if you can look for those reasons why a particular person has switched off sex, you can bring them back on.
Wow.
Anybody who decides to get married knowing that sex is an important part of what they are going into. They know that when they go into the marriage, they will have sex. So it's not just automatic that they just go in there and now they cannot have sex. Certain doors have been locked. If you get the right keys, you can open. And sometimes the person that you think is completely switched off can become your Rambo in bed, and you'll be amazed.
Rambo. Also, I like your words, Rambo. That's true. That is very true. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the scripture in Ephesians 5 where it's comparing marriage to Christ and the church. It says that this is a mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church. So there are similarities between our relationship, the relationship between Christ and the church, and what happens between a man and a woman. Certain things, and it's very strange that sometimes we don't see it. Somebody who is so much on fire for the Lord in church and things like that will come home and not think that not fulfilling your marital duties is against what the Word of God is teaching.
That's right.
So when you make a commitment to marriage, you're making a commitment to the fact that you're going to obey what God is saying concerning marriage as well. Things about, so therefore you have to have the mindset that even though I don't like this, I don't like that, there's negotiation that needs to take place between you and your husband. Pleasing each other in every way. And it's quite strange in terms of when there's no intimacy in your marriage, it's kind of like an example of your intimacy between you and God.
It means worship is not strong in your.
Means you're going through the motions. Okay, you're doing what is supposed to do. You're having a quiet time. You're going to church. You're singing in a choir. You're the woman. You are the head of the men's group and things like that. But all of this, you're going to, just like God says that you have lost your first love. Return to your first love. And so when he says that it's a mystery, but it's not about Christ in the church, this is, you can make such comparisons, even though earthly comparisons to spiritual things are a bit feeble, but to help our minds, So as believers, we should take it seriously that the relationship to Christ and the church is similar to what's happening between a man and a woman in
Exactly. So you have to now ask yourself, why does it seem like the first love in the marriage is gone down? Because most of the time, once we marry, we're all excited. Honeymoon time, we're excited as to what will happen. A lot of people who later in the marriage get switched off sex were very much into sex during the honeymoon. So you see that what has caused the first love to go down. There are, if we would have time, maybe we'll go into those areas, but little offenses, little expectations that don't get met, a whole lot of issues that get brushed under the carpet. Over time, pile up, and then they numb the emotional or sexual receptors to an extent that now you become switched off from your spouse. Okay, so there are things you need to do to keep the love alive, keep the first love alive constantly. Unfortunately, many of us, Christians included, even including pastors, once we get married, we begin to take so many things for granted. We think, we are married.
That's right.
That is it. So the things we used to do during courtship, the things we used to do at the start of the marriage to try to impress, we stop seeking to impress anymore. And then the next thing also is that you start finding out so much about your spouse that if you are not deep in your mind, you will naturally switch off. Because see, before you got married, the only time you see your spouse is when they are nicely dressed. You see them in town, you see them at church, you see them on stage leading worship, and it's like, ooh, this is my baby. Yes, and now you are living with them. they go to use their toilet, come out, and you also have to go there, and you realize that their poo smells, and then this brother, you see that, oh, actually when they sleep, they snore, and maybe sometimes they even drool. You see, sometimes they sleep and they drool, and they sleep and they.
You are really going there. You are really going there.
You see, they sleep and then they fart, and all these things. Okay, so if you are not deep, all these things will now begin to push down that glorious image you had about that man or that woman. Begins to go down, because you begin to see when they remove their shoes. Oh, so their shoes can smell. When they wake up, I mean, now you are talking to them when they haven't brushed their teeth, and their breath can be bad. And it's like, all these. So you've got to. That's why marriage is for mature people.
That's right.
Marriage is for mature. If you are not mature, once you start getting exposed to all these things, you will begin to switch off. Especially if you are a fussy person, you will begin to switch off, and sex will begin to die in their marriage.
That's right.
So we've got to be strong, and we've got to teach people all these things, that as you are going into the marriage, these things will happen. Eventually, marriage becomes like we're only living with just your brother or your sister, but this time you are adding sex to it. Okay. So that you can see that your husband or your wife is also a normal person. They do normal things human beings do. And if you can rise above that, you can enjoy sex every day in the marriage, even though you'll be fine.
Let me just add something quickly to all that's going on. One other thing that we forget also is the power of communication.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm leaving you, then I'll have to then talk to you. Unfortunately, when some of these things are going on in the marriage, we don't talk, or with the fear of offending the other person or making the other person feel bad, or you don't want to cause any problems or anything. So it starts as a seed, and it keeps growing and growing, and we are not talking. Talking about, I mean, before we got here, Mr. Chesca talked about living with somebody who's been abused sexually before coming into the marriage. If we are in the marriage and there is a strong level of communication in the marriage, then we will talk about the abuse and know how to go about it, so that doesn't hinder our sex life. If there are things that are worrying us or there are concerns, then we will talk about it. Especially when you walk into a Christian marriage, you will be shocked to know that the Christian couple do not even talk about sex. After a round of sex, they will not go and say, "Sweetie, how was it? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? What would you like me to change to make it more exciting for you? I'll also like you to do this for me. I also like you to do that." We don't do any of those things. You finish, you turn your face to the corner, the other person turns his or her face to the wall, and that's it. Now, if we will enjoy we'll enjoy sex in our marriage, we need to talk. How can we talk about everything in our marriage except sex? We don't want to talk about it. If we can't talk about it, we will not enjoy it.
And you see, Mommy, to add to even what Mommy is saying, it's not just talking about sex. Sex itself is the peak of all communication in the marriage. So when communication fails, sex will fail. Because you see, it's like that Maslow's hierarchy. Sex is at the tip. Sex is at the tip. So when you miss the building blocks, when communication is weak in the marriage, sex will be problematic. In every marriage where communication is weak, sex is problematic. You've got to learn to talk about everything. Everything. Communication must be strong. Not just about sex. Everything, how we feel, everything about everything. So if that one is working well, sex, we will naturally talk well about sex. And the expectation will always be there. I believe that for any good marriage, you must have sex at least minimum 5 times a week. Minimum. I mean, like the man, minimum.
Yeah. That's a Rambo man.
At least with the exception of, let's say, maybe when the woman is menstruating or when you need time off to fast or something. Every day. Yeah, I mean, like, it should be daily. Like, it should be daily.
It's Rambo.
You see, it should be daily. But I'm just giving grace period for the extra days. Like 2 days. Like 2 days grace period. But if you have strength, you can go 7 times a week and you still be fine. It should be part of your daily routine. Sex should not be something that happens on a special occasion. Just as we wake up and we pray every day, we eat every day, we do all the normal things. Sex should be part of our daily routine as a couple.
And Pastor Derek, that will only come about when we have understanding of what sex is.
Yeah.
Because when that understanding is not there, we will not regard it, we will not fit it into our daily routine.
Yeah.
It won't be any, we will not have any respect for it at all.
Yeah.
We would see it as a chore, as a painful thing to do, or as something really useless. So when we have that understanding of what sex is, it will really, really change sex in our marriages.
Yeah, and the understanding should be built on friendship, strong friendship, which is missing in many marriages. Many couples are not friends. You see, when you are courting, you are friends. That's why you can have wild expectations about sex. But once we marry, we become husband and wife instead of friends. We become husband and wife instead of friends. So the flow, the light gets switched on.
Yeah.
But if we can become friends and we can play, sit on each other, and like I can play with this woman, not because she's my wife, but because she's my friend, I wouldn't struggle wanting to have sex with her.
Yeah. Sorry, are you able to read comments? Because I'm getting loads of comments here. I don't know if you're able to get the comments.
We're getting waves and things like that.
We're getting waves.
Please
swipe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I wasn't on the live video comment, so I couldn't see.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining. I think we have a few comments here from Mami Odame. She says anything that the Bible doesn't speak against is pardonable.
Yeah.
You just need to do a little work to change it, but it shouldn't put you off. Like my husband, who usually sleeps off immediately he comes from work. He was staying along and used to do that, but he wants crusade at dawn. Crusade. I told him, please, if you want crusade at dawn, wash down before you sleep off. Now I don't even tell him to shower, whether crusade or no crusade, he showers.
Exactly.
Wow.
Communication. Yeah, I was going to talk about a point you mentioned, Pastor Selji, about the fact that even when you finish, you need to talk and things like that. I think we started doing that quite early in our marriage. And one of the things that I think prevents men from talking about it is an ego thing. Because not like you don't want to hear that you've underperformed, you know. I'm just trying to keep it real, you know. I'm just trying to keep it real. You don't want to hear that, you know. And there are times where maybe, I mean, for my majority of the time, you know, top marks 120%, you know. But there are times where I don't hit the target marking scheme, you know, average
is raised.
And then she tells me, you know, at first, you know, at first when we started, my ego and things would be bruised a little bit. But I was like, no, she's trying to help me.
He never told me his ego was bruised.
A little bit, but because I knew it was a good thing, you know. So I want to encourage the men out there that they need to, they shouldn't feel hurt or feel shy that maybe they might hear. Maybe the wives can also find a good way to say about, like she usually does. She will find a nice way to put it that, oh, usually if you had done this, would have helped much more, or this way. So I think that way you are establishing the communication we are talking about to help improve things. Because one thing I've realized that nobody goes into a role or a job without studying or investigating about the thing. But most of the time we go into marriage without studying or investigating. Maybe some 2 week session of counseling, and then we think that we know it, and then we stop learning. But I realize that we have to keep learning and learning each and every day, because even as we grow, our likes and dislikes changes.
Yeah.
You know, so I really want to encourage the men out there not to feel shy to talk about it and to
to add to that, you see, for you to enjoy marriage and longevity in marriage, it takes a lot of humility.
Yeah, that's right.
It takes a lot of humility. Both the man and the woman should be willing to lay down their egos for the sake of the marriage. If you listen to us a lot, most of the time we say that the marriage is bigger than the two of you.
That's right.
The marriage is bigger than your ego. The two of us together is bigger than each of us individually. So it's not about how I feel. It's about how we feel. Okay? So it's normal for you to get a feedback that tells you have underperformed, but that is okay. So we talk about it. And you see, you also have to make your wife understand that it's not every day that you meet certain needs. Just as the opposite is also true. And if we are going to be honest in marriage, it's not every day that you feel your wife proper. There are days, you know, that for today let's just do something. There are days you really don't feel her. But when you finish, are you also going to tell her? Sometimes, you may say, oh, today I didn't feel you. But if there might be reasons, okay? So we shouldn't feel that we are being put down when your spouse says that today the oomph wasn't there, the connection wasn't strong. Today, it's us. It's us. Just like when you cook and I didn't enjoy the meal today. Me, I tell my wife, when the food is good, I tell her, man, today, awesome. Other days, if the pepper is too much or the salt is too much or not enough, I mention it that, sister, as for today, I don't know what happened. You see, and we have come to understand, we have that agreement that it's not about us, it's about the marriage. We both have equal right to enjoy the marriage. Therefore, if something is not going right, I can say it, but it doesn't mean I'm putting you down. It simply means that I want you so much that I want us to get things going in a better way.
That's right.
So
that's right.
if you will enjoy a good marriage, you must learn to put down your ego. If you cannot be corrected, if you cannot be told, oh, do it this way, change it like this, this is not good enough, can we do it better like this tomorrow? If you cannot do that, then you are in for trouble. A lot of the problems people have in marriage is ego problem.
Yes. Exactly.
Can I
wanted to say something.
Yes, because there's a comment about culture when it comes to sex in marriage as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely true,
So,
yes.
Minister Daniel is saying most Christian men think that sex is a reward for good behavior. Some Christian men also think that a woman who demands sex when she wants it is spoiled. Those notions are culturally driven. So we can also say that our culture plays an important role in sex, in our ability to enjoy it. Because like you just mentioned, I remember when we were growing up, we were not allowed to talk about sex. It was like a big taboo. And anytime you started talking about it, you were like the spoiled one. Where are you getting this thing from? How do you know? If maybe you have an inquisitive mind, you just want to learn. No, you are looked at as a very bad girl or a bad boy who wants to go into things that are too high for you. And that's also could be an issue in the marriage when it comes to sex. Because people come into the marriage with all kinds of things from their background, including some terrible cultural practices. The Bible says that the traditions of men make the word of God null and void. So we need to look at it from that. The traditions of men also include the traditions on sex, our cultural beliefs on sex. That will also be a hindrance to our ability in enjoying it. I don't know if what I'm saying.
It makes sense. Yeah.
So we have to look at it from that point of view. And then that will take us back to the issue of education and communication again. Education and communication, because no matter what you are coming into the marriage from your cultural background, you can be educated. And then we can talk about it. Because at the end of the day, like I always say, the marriage is the two of us and God. The marriage is bigger than you, your feelings, your cultural backgrounds, your opinion, and whatever. The marriage is bigger than me. My feelings is bigger than both of us. And we are in to enjoy it and not to endure it. I don't want to believe God created marriage for us to endure it. And the God that we serve is not that kind of God. To make us endure things unnecessarily. His intention, he said that the thoughts I have for you are good and not of evil. That includes enjoying sex in your marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to tackle all these things.
It's the height of prosperity, my dear. It's the height of prosperity. The height of prosperity. To enjoy good sex is the height of prosperity.
You prosper.
Hey, it's the height of prosperity. You see, prosperity is not just buying cars. So if you can really enjoy each other in a marriage, then you are prosperous.
That's right.
And please, before you continue, please, for those of you who are on and listening to us, we'll be glad if you can share it and if you can start watch parties with it, because we are getting messages. Some people say they cannot get us, they cannot follow whatever, they can't see us and all that. So if you are on there, we'll be glad if you can share it, if you can start a watch party so that other people who normally would want to tune in but are struggling will be able to get it. Let's spread the net. Let's spread the net so others can be helped. Okay, let's help each other. That's why we are doing this. Thank you.
Right. We have some comments here we would read through.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Patricia says some men don't talk about that. That's though. Yeah, which is true, which is something we've talked about. Marie says sometimes issues and marriage can make sex less desirable. How can you overcome that feeling of blame?
Yeah. Do you want me to say something about that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's why I said maturity. You should be able to separate incidents. Okay. We've had this misunderstanding. Have we been able to talk about it? Have we been able to reach a solution? If so, we go for it. If not, can we still, is it pending? Can we keep it on hold whilst we still enjoy this thing? Because whilst there are issues that are affecting so many things, you are still eating anyway. You can still sleep. If you can eat and you can sleep, you can have sex. If you can eat, no matter what is happening in the marriage, you see, the determination. If you know that sex is so important in the marriage, and it's not just the icing on the cake, but it is the actual cake. Because many treat sex as the icing on the cake. If every other thing is going well, then we can have sex. But no, sex sometimes even helps make other things also go well. The two work hand in hand. Okay, so we have issues, but you can sit down and eat. We have issues, but you can lay down and sleep and sleep. But when it comes to sex, we have issues. We cannot have sex. You are not being reasonable. You are not treating sex with the importance that it requires. Because if you do, we can have a misunderstanding which has not been resolved yet, and we can still have sex and then still carry on talking later. We may still have an issue that needs sorting out and still give it a break and have sex, just as you can give your problem a break and eat. Okay, we've got to be very passionate and serious about this thing. Because people easily have excuses why they cannot have sex. Oh, he stepped on my toe, so no sex today. Really? But you can eat, you can sleep, you can do any other thing, but no sex today. Sex is the height of the intimacy of the marriage. And Paul said that. He said that the only excuse with which we can say that we are not going to have sex is that we are giving ourselves to fasting. And even that he says that immediately you break the fast, come back together. So let's say if we are doing a 21-day fast, and it is a fasting that you are breaking every evening, once food touches your lips, the next thing you have prayed, you have eaten. Then once you eat at 6 o'clock, by 6:15 you should be having sex. You see, sex should be an important part of the family. It is so important that Paul says the only excuse you can have for not having sex is not offense. It's not because you are not happy with something going on. but because you are giving yourself to fasting. Because you can faint. If it's even that, it's not because it is a sin if you have sex when you are fasting. It's not a sin. But you see, number one, it can take your attention away from God. You will come too much in the flesh. And then also you can faint. Can you imagine? Let's say you are going on a 10-day fast. You haven't eaten for 5 days. You haven't eaten for 5 days. And you go and do it. You will get yourself into trouble. So that is the only biblical reason for us to stay away from sex. Otherwise, no excuse is good enough for you not to have sex with your spouse.
So what you're saying is sex is so important in marriage that it's not something you're feeling and your past and anything can stand in the way of
No.
sex.
If they try to stand in the way, you deal with it.
You have to
deal with it. It's just like money is so important to your life that anything that tries to stand in your way from getting money, you deal with it.
Because I find that especially we Africans, I mean, the kind of pressure you get when you get to a certain age and they're forcing you need to marry, And so I find that some of us women, African women especially, we go into marriage and it's like, it's just enough to have the ring on your finger. Yeah. I just wanted everybody to know that I'm also being loved by somebody and somebody's asked to marry me. And that's it. Yeah. But when we go into the marriage, it's a different ball game altogether. Because I would read out a few questions that came to us, but some of the things that came, questions that came, somebody was just describing how his wife gets so busy, cleans the house, top to bottom, take care of the children, do everything with the children, like take care of them, would cook for the husband, never let the husband miss a meal. Let that go back, please. Never miss a meal. Like she takes care of the home. She does everything except be intimate.
Yeah, and when things happen that way, there are a number of possible causes. It's very easy to just blame it on maybe I was abused as a child or something. Most of the time, like I said at the start, there is a key, there's a door that needs to be unlocked in the woman's mind that has not been unlocked. And that will take place with communication. If you can communicate with her enough for her to understand that, listen, all the cleaning you are doing is nice, but they do not move me as much as having sex with you. All the cooking and all that is good, but they don't satisfy me as much as having sex with you. Now, how do you communicate that to the woman? It's not enough to just say, I want to have sex with you. How do you make her feel, how confident do you make her to feel in her body? Sometimes you have carelessly passed a comment about how her stomach has become. And just by that comment, she's been switched off sex. Sometimes some careless attitude, you don't show enough care, you don't show enough love. You are spending money on your family, but you don't really care about her own comfort. You are not investing in her appearance. You are not investing in her own life. You are not a romantic husband. When was the last time you took her to a hotel, just got somebody to take care of the children? Me and you, I just want us to go and relax. Because maybe, you see, when you don't pay attention to things like this, the woman can get into the routine of, let me just take care of the house, take care of children, do this, do that. As a husband, you are in charge of the clock of the family. So break the routines. Any routine that you know is becoming something that will disturb the chemistry of the marriage. You break it. You book 1 week where you both can make time. Get somebody to take care of the children. Fly off to Hawaii, just you and her, and you will see that her Schwarzenegger powers will come again. Okay? You go to work. After work, you pass by this place. You buy a nice G-string. You buy one of these pants that has a zip under and things like this. You bring it. Try. Don't make me forget my sermon for tomorrow. Okay, so you buy this thing. Try this one on. You get time, get somebody take care of the children. The two of you make time, movie night, just me and you. We sit down, we talk. Okay, share the burden. Don't let her be the one doing all the cleaning, all those things. By the time she comes home, you've done the cleaning. You've put some food already on the fire. You've cooked. She comes, she wants to cook. No, you are not cooking today. I've ordered food from Nando's. I've ordered food from Rodizio Rico or any of these places. Let's drive. Let's go and pick it up. Come, we sit down, we eat. Okay, you relieve her of the extra burdens, and she can calm down. Many of these women are not able to switch in and out of a busy life and sex. You, the man, it's your responsibility to help her to switch out of mommy, housewife, or busy wife routine and become a very romantic girl that you met at first. If she ever liked sex the first time you met her, if she ever desired it during your honeymoon and now she's not, maybe you have turned her into that kind of a person.
Right. Yes.
Can I add something to what Pastor?
Yes, please.
It could also be that as a man you are doing something to put her off.
Yeah.
So it could be that you are doing something, and as women, little things put us off. You are not happy with your part.
Yeah.
Your armpit is, excuse me to say, smelling. You are sweating everywhere.
check, self-check. 1, 2, 3. Self-check. 1, 2, 3. Testing the armpits.
So it could be that, or let's say, you put on a bait and she feels.
Yeah, you haven't checked your weight. I don't know if you. Let me just cut you in a little. You come. Yeah. Just recently, one of the days she told me that you become too heavy. As to how she found out, because she's not there when I stand on the scale. And she said, you've become too heavy. Immediately, I changed my routines. Now, every day, I'm on the treadmill, 1 hour, trying to beat the thing, because, you see, if I'm too heavy, it should be switched off. I've got to be light enough so that the acrobatics can take place.
Hey. Come on now. Yeah, this one like you.
Charlie, so you see our ego. So she says you become too heavy, you get offended.
Yeah.
That's you killing sex in their marriage. She says your breath is not smelling nice. You don't get offended. You go and brush and come back.
That's right.
If it's a medical thing that needs help, you do something about it. Okay, don't take offense. Don't take offense. Mommy, please carry on. Sorry, I took that.
That's fine. So you may also want to think of what you are doing to put your wife off sex.
Yeah.
Maybe she's hiding in all these house chores and things because she doesn't want to have time for you.
Yeah.
You could put her up by your words. What are you telling her? What words are you using on your wife? You could put her up by your actions.
Laziness.
You could put her up by your reactions. You could put her up by your weight, your physique, and all that. Yes.
Lack of compassion, lack of empathy in the home. You don't communicate, you don't flow, you are not laughing, you are not tickling her, you are not doing anything. All of a sudden, you come to the bedroom, you want sex. You ain't getting it. Sex starts from the morning.
Okay, so in that case, somebody who is doing all of these things, and so for me was talking about you're doing something that's putting her off. Is that a good reason? Because at some point, there has to be the communication. So if the man is asking what is wrong, what is happening, and this is going on 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're still going like nothing. Do you really want this marriage?
I mean, it's not an excuse, but then that is why you need to talk about it.
That's why communication is important. Develop how to communicate.
I mean, through this marriage programs we did, I've realized that most couples are not friends.
Yeah.
They are not friends at all. Colleagues, family members are not friends. You should be able to develop friendship with your spouse. If you hear anything, your spouse should be the first person to hear it. If you want to share anything, your spouse should be the first person you want to share it with. So when that friendship is not there, it doesn't matter how you are feeling, it doesn't matter what is going on. You will not be able to express yourself and to talk.
That's right.
If I were not friends with Pastor Derek, I can't go and tell him, I think you are heavy. He would take offense.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm heavy? How dare you? And he could also switch up completely. But because we are friends, couples need to be friends with each other. And probably some of us may have to go back and see where we lost that friendship and pick it up from there. Where we are friends, we are laughing at and with each other. We are talking to each other. We are talking with each other. And there's no fear of me getting offended, me getting hurt, me getting, just being friends and flowing with each other.
And being humble. All these things will work well if we are humble. Once again, let me repeat that. If you are humble, because pride, sometimes some of these people who are going through things and you ask them, what is it? Nothing. Pride, they feel, I don't want to let it out. I want to have that authority. I want to have that power where I'm in control. I'm in charge. I'm controlling things and I'm not allowing. Okay, I wanted this. He didn't do to me. I'm holding on to this, but I will not say it. You see, but at the end of the day, like I've said, sex is the engine that drives the marriage. When your sex life starts struggling and you don't work on it, I don't need to be a prophet to tell you that eventually that marriage will crash. Eventually.
Do you mind if I pick a few comments?
Yes,
somebody is asking that, what if you try all these things and he or she still is not desiring sex? What can you do to help him or her?
There could be, let me add this quickly. Sometimes there is a deeper psychological problem that may require proper counseling. Okay, sometimes there's been a serious traumatic experience that if you cannot deal with it, seek professional help. Sometimes it is a spiritual issue. Sometimes some of these people have what they call spiritual marriages and whatever, and it should be broken. Sometimes deliverance is necessary. I believe in both scientific approach and spiritual approach. Look at both sides and see. Sometimes it's just sheer arrogance, ignorance, pride. Sometimes it's basic foolishness. So some people enjoy being in that state. Wickedness. Some people are hard-hearted, cold-hearted, and wicked. Some people are not generous. You see, and it feeds into their sex life as well, where they feel if I have sex with him, that I've given him what he wants. Some people just want to keep back. And so, unfortunately, in the church, we have only taught people how to give money, but we haven't taught how to give ourselves.
That is deep. Not just should we give our money, but we have to learn to give ourselves. That is actually deep. There is a question here. Marcel, have you read out all the questions you wanted to read out?
No, I've got some questions and comments. So Prophet Henry is saying, you cannot be fierce enemies with your spouse throughout the day and expect stunning the baptism at night. Orgasm will elude you.
That's true.
I like that. And then Mommy is saying that you start with the messages, pick her up, start some touches while driving. When she gives the green light, beat the traffic and drive faster, shower together and get onto the crusade. Have we lost them?
No, I think it's something to share.
No, we haven't lost. My technical man is still doing his technical stuff.
Right.
Now, there's a concern from Blessed Beyond Belief. She's saying that a percentage of women who haven't experienced orgasm is shocking. Men's ministry. How do you teach our young men for marriage?
Mommy, let me come in here.
Please
because
come in.
It is extremely important.
Pastor, wait, before you come in here, I remember when I got married, to be very honest, I didn't even know what orgasm was.
Carry on. Carry on.
I didn't know. I was just doing it because I was told, okay, he's your husband. When he wants, just give it to me. So I was just doing it. Then I visited a friend and I was asking her, how do you reach orgasm? And she goes, so you mean you don't reach it? I said, no, I don't even know how to reach it. And she told me, I reach it every day. I looked at her thinking, how do you do it? How do you do it? So it all comes back to nobody taught me what orgasm is, how to reach orgasm, what to do, nothing. And as a young married woman, I didn't want my husband to ask me, where did you learn, or like who is teaching you? Why? If I start talking about orgasm, he will also probably be thinking, why are you learning this from? Who is teaching and all that? So I kept it to myself. But thank God, and that lady, I wouldn't say that she's spiritual. She's not very spiritual, but at least she was able to satisfy her husband and do something that Me, the so-called prefect charismatic girl, didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue. So it goes back to what is the church doing about this? How is the church? What are we teaching the young ladies? When a young lady comes to you, and you know the Bible says it, either Timothy or Titus, that the older woman should teach the younger woman
how to
Titus
get orgasm.
Thank you.
How to get orgasm. The older woman should teach the younger woman how to get orgasm.
You know, Asafo, Ken talks about this. Ken is always talking about this. Ken is always talking about Titus ministry. He's crazy about it. He's always saying, this is what the church, the older women in the church are supposed to be doing.
And the older men.
And the older men, this is what they are supposed to be doing. Not we taking titles upon ourselves, the minister, this, sister, this, and that, and that, and that. Because marriage is such a big thing. Imagine if everybody in the church is being fulfilled. In their marriages. Like it will be, I think you come and you preach and everybody will hear what you are saying and be blessed.
Oh yes.
And,
Yes.
A lot of things will be solved, you know.
It's a great thing.
I believe what Pastor Selji has said, and probably a new curriculum has to be written for.
And
you come to church this Sunday. The message today is orgasm. Then we start. Everybody get your Bibles and pens. Today's sermon is
please invite me. I want to be part of that.
What a wow.
You give a solo. You give a solo before we start.
I have to create a song.
We'll be a love song.
This is too good.
Jokes aside, when you can do a survey, especially of Christian women, and ask them how often they reach orgasm. It's not even if they know what orgasm is. Do they even know what orgasm is and how to reach it and what to do? They don't have a clue.
And you have to understand, it's something I've taught, right? Yes, the man should play his part to help you reach orgasm. But if you are a lady and you want to reach orgasm, you must know how to go get it.
That's right.
You must be a go-getter. In this life, I've come to understand that if you want to sit down for things to come to you, they will not come. Just as money. You can't just sit down and say, because I'm alive, I must get money. Money will not come. You've got to work for it. You've got to pursue it. In order to get, you got to learn, educate yourself, upgrade yourself, do better work, how to get money. It is the same when it comes to sex. You must know how to go get your orgasm. See how you must get it. See where you must get it from. If your husband is sexually weak, find ways of helping him if you want to have orgasm. If you think that he's coming too quickly, talk to him about it. Look for ideas. Look for ways by which you can get him to hold on and wait for you. And when you start, don't lie down waiting to see what he can do for you. Just go. Look for your own thing. Sex is like the two of us eating together from one plate. Everybody's eyeing. Where is the fish? Where is the chicken? Is it who's going to take the fish first? Who's going to take the chicken? Who's going to take this? If you want to sit down and wait that it will be given you, you may not always get it. Okay? So if you want the fish, once we start eating, start breaking the fish. Start taking your fish. Start taking what you want. Don't sit down and wait until everything is over. Then you come complaining. I didn't get any fish. I didn't get it. But the fish was on the plate.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So because sometimes a lot of the ladies are so passive. A lot of our ladies are passive when it comes to sex. They think all the work needs to be done by the man, and then they must reach orgasm some way, somehow. So far as they are bringing their ringtone, and I'm sure you understand what ringtone is.
So please, you have to explain.
Please explain ringtone.
The oohs and the ahs and the and the yeah. You see, some ladies just think that automatically once I do for him, I must reach. But no, there are things you do. There are things you do. There are times you have to turn him upside down and you become the man technically and take what you want. There are times you've got to use various strategies, whatever you need to do in order to get what you want. Don't just allow your man to use you as a sex toy. Go in you to use your man to get what you want.
That's right.
We must use each other. We must use each other. Now, once you get into that kind of routine where you know how to use your husband to get your orgasm, he wouldn't have to come to you looking for sex. You will go to him looking for sex. Why is it that we have some of these ladies who have bought sex toys at home and they use it until they reach their orgasm before they put it down? And yet when they are married, they are switched off sex. Don't tell me women don't like sex. If they are getting the satisfaction, they'll go for it. So we've got to teach our ladies how to get the satisfaction.
So we've talked so much about communication and trying to communicate what we want and things. I think this brings us to knowing one of the things that helps with the communication is knowing each other's sex language. Like where we have the languages of love, because people are turned on differently. Some people are the fun type. Some people are the patient type. Some people they desire, you know. Some people want pleasure. Some people want confirmation.
Blue light.
You know, So I think that we have to be able to speak the language, because it's a language. You have to learn to speak it. You know, from the start, you might be like, if you want to learn French, you learn maybe je suis this, you know, je m'appelle that. But as you grow in the marriage, you begin to understand your wife or your husband's sex language. That's a whole different topic for some other time. But we've been talking about communication, so I wanted to put it out there. You need to know and study what makes your wife or husband tick. And once you learn to speak that language, 100% of the time you might be hitting it. You know, So these are some of the things that we need to know, because the fact that somebody might be maybe like an exuberant person out there and things like that, but maybe in the bedroom he's the patient type. He wants the time. He doesn't want disturbance from the children. You know, and it could be both a man or a woman. We have the perception now, maybe men want a quick boom boom. No, it's not every man who likes it like that. Some men want to take their time and make sure, you know, if you're the pleasure kind, wants to know that you're enjoying it before he also, you know, and no two people always speak the same language. So that's why we have to compromise and negotiate. So today I'm doing what makes you really take. The next day maybe. And then you return the favor, you know, things like that. And you talk about initiation. You have to communicate and say that you have to, sometimes for us, we have a way of, you know, knowing who's going to initiate and things like that. But if you don't, then you have to make it plain. Because when you do that, it takes away a lot of sexual tension that men feel during the day, during the week, and things like that. Because they know that when they go home, they're going to get some. So they don't indulge in other things that is not profitable. If you know that you're coming home and you're going to get fed, you're going to get food. You're not going to pass by some restaurant or some shop and spoil your appetite.
That's right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we need to communicate that. I know that, look, like you said, it has to be frequent, but maybe when the children come and things like that, maybe it might be spaced a little bit, but at least he knows that he's going to get fed. So men and women, it works both ways. If you know you're going to get fed, you always prepare yourself eager to come, especially when you travel. You don't mess around. And you know that, or even before you go on a journey, those who are musicians and, you know, preachers and things like that. Yeah. Before you go on a journey, you need to make sure that you are satisfied, because when you go, the week flows because you don't have any sexual tension. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then even if you keep when you're coming, because you have an expectation that it's going to happen. So most of the time, especially men, don't know when they're going to get it, when they're not going to get it, and it brings a lot of frustration. And men who know that they're going to get all the time, usually they even earn more money in their business because their mind is fruitful. Their mind is fruitful, not thinking, because sex
I'm a witness.
Sex is on the mind of men all the time.
I'm a witness.
They improve in every aspect of their life. So
it's one thing that I'm so blessed by God with, that I know that unless there is medical or physiological reason, if I need it, I will get it. You see, and it's a blessing.
No.
It is, yes. Attention is
No,
on.
seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. It is always part of our good night. It's like, all right, we like when we get to bed, what I will always be the first person to say, all right, good night. Okay, all right, good night. Because I do not want to be the type, I don't want to be like pushing anything.
Yes.
So, good night. If she has the green light to say, oh, that's that, it's nothing, it's nothing else happening. Then I say, but as for me, you know that I have a standing order. So, then, because I always give her the right to decide whether it's coming on or not. I never decide that we are doing this. I always throw it to her. I leave it to her to bring it up. And thankfully, she always does. 98%. If it would not happen, she would tell me, oh, I'm sorry today, because of this or because of that. It cannot happen. And please let everybody understand, headache is not part of the reasons why you cannot
have it. It cures it. It cures headache. It reduces the tension.
Exactly. Yes. Sex cures headache. So if your husband and your wife comes, oh, today I have headache, all you have to do is to say, I've got the medicine right in my boxes.
I can testify to that.
I've got paracetamol in my boxes. So once
okay, let's pick up some questions. As Dinah says, some of the older women may not know themselves.
True.
Exactly.
So they can't teach what they don't know. But that brings me to a question, an email somebody sent. He said, Dear Chesca, I'm a woman who feels very neglected in my marriage, and husband hardly notices me unless he wants to have sex. In fact, the only time he remembers he's my husband is only in the bedroom. I have spoken to my pastor and his wife about it, and on many occasions, however, not much was done about it. My pastor and wife called him once, and my pastor got back to me saying, basically, everyone is different, so I need to be patient, but never address the issue of how he makes me feel. Since then, I haven't been able to speak to.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, please. Do you hear us?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, you went silent for a while.
Oh, okay, sorry. As in the past, we had involved people who advised I go to my pastor. What is the core reason of the marriage? I think the biggest problem here was the fact that the pastor did not do anything about it.
Yeah.
And like I think for me personally, I think some of the reasons is what Deaconess Dinah has just stated, that sometimes maybe the pastor himself is not having good sex.
Yeah. A lot of pastors are not getting good sex at home. Let me tell you.
He can't advise you what to do.
Yeah.
He's not doing it. He's not having it.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the issues. And then somebody also asked, marital satisfaction and sexual satisfaction works hand in hand. But does that mean that if you are having a good sex, you're having a good marriage?
Please, are we going to, if we are going to address this, let me come back to the first question, because there is more to be said about that.
Okay.
And then we can move on to the next one.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I think that the first question is that is marriage, let me see. Yeah, what's the core reason for marriage? What's the core reason for? The core reason for marriage is companionship. And that companionship, it includes sex eventually, because human beings are wired to need sex. God created sex and he created it for a purpose. You see, God does not create anything for nothing. So if God created sex, he knows we will need it. Psychologists say that men think about sex every 5 minutes. Some way, somehow, some way, somehow, sex will pass through their mind in one way or the other. Number two, Everything a man does, the ultimate reason why he's doing it is because of sex. And number three, every man needs sex at least every other day. Yeah.
I was saying three days.
yeah. So yeah, that's the 3 days. So it is important that if God created marriage for companionship, then we understand that the sex part is also an integral part of it. We know in Genesis 2:18, God said that it is not good for the man to be alone, therefore I'll make him a helpmate. What does that help include or involve? It's not just you are there to help me wash my clothes. The washing machine can do that. If it is for cooking, I can go to the restaurant and buy food to eat. Okay, if it's just for talking, I can bring my sister in to live in the house and then we'll be talking. Sex is the main reason why we marry, because I can't have sex with my sister. I can't have sex with the woman at the restaurant. I can't have sex with it just has to be you, my wife, or my husband. Okay. And then another important reason why sex is important for marriage, or the reason why God created marriage, is for procreation. In Malachi 2:15, it says, did he not make them one with a portion of the spirit in their union? And what was the one God seeking? Godly offspring. God was looking for godly offspring. So guard yourselves in your spirit, and let none of you be faithless to the wife of your youth. And being faithless to the one of your youth also includes the husband of your youth. And it involves denying each other, because we must have sex in order to have procreation as well. Even though some people think it's just about procreation.
Yes.
But it's not just about procreation. Let me give you another scripture quickly and then we can go on. In Proverbs chapter 5, verse 15 to 20, it says, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad? No. Streams of water in the streets? No. It means the desire that you have, you should not be going out there having sex with somebody else on the street, having sex with other people in different places. That is not where it is supposed to be. Verse 17, let them be for yourself alone and no strangers with you. Now, if you deny each other, if you starve each other, strangers are bound to come in. Okay. Verse 18, let your fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. It means that your body, your mind, your soul gets blessed when you are having sex with each other. There is a blessing that gets released from above every time a couple comes together to have sex. Okay, let your fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. Do you know, for example, that some of the breast cancers, for example, they happen because the lady's breast don't get stimulated enough. They don't get enough smooching. Not enough smooching. They don't get it. Okay. And some of these cancers develop, some of the cervical cancers happen because inappropriate and also inadequate sexual activity can also lead to some of these. Okay, so when he says that let your fountain be blessed, it means having sex with your husband, including all the romance, the kissing, the smoochings, the fingering, the actual thing and everything. They all come together to call forth a blessing from above. Just as if you fasted and prayed, you will get blessed. When you have good sex with your wife, you get blessed. Okay, and then let your fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. Let there be a joy. He said, a loving dear and a graceful doe. Let her breasts satisfy you at all times.
Wow. Let
her breasts satisfy you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always with her love. This is why I don't believe in we can only have sex once a week or 3 days or 4 days or when the occasion demands. It says be drunk. Do you know what it means to get drunk? Do you know how drunkards live? They drink every day. You cannot be you cannot be officially called a drunkard if you don't have the drinking problem. You must have a drinking problem to be called a drunkard. And when he says that be intoxicated always, not some days, it means every time they meet you, you should be drunk with your wife's love. You should be drunk with your husband's love, which means that it should happen every day. So when you meet me outside, I have had so much sex with my wife that your breast mean nothing to me. You
That's
can
right.
you can dress naked to church. You look like there's some tree to me. Nothing moves because there's no more sperm left for you. Everything has been drained by my wife. Nothing left for you. This is how God wants us to live. Be intoxicated always with her love. Okay? Why should you embrace the bosom of an adulteress? You see, look at the connection there. When you do not allow sex to go on strongly, constantly, daily in the marriage, you are opening doors for adultery to take place.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so we've talked about the core reason for marriage. Now, going back to the issue at hand, she's saying that she spoke to her pastor, and the pastor sort of could not really help in this situation. So what will be the way out? What should be the way out?
Right. The pastor could not help in the situation.
Could she go to somebody
else?
Go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else. If you have asked your pastor to step in and he cannot step, sometimes, let me tell you why some pastors cannot.
Pastor, wait, before you say that, would it be okay for her to go to, excuse me to say, an unbeliever?
No, go to another pastor. I don't mean like any other pastor, a senior pastor that your husband will respect. Because sometimes some of these husbands in our churches, they don't respect the pastor. They don't respect the pastor. And sometimes the pastor knows that this man doesn't respect me. If I call him, he won't come. If I want him to come and sit down for me to talk to him, he will not come. So when the pastor knows that this is how my church member, he will not even make the effort at all. He has his dignity to protect. So take your husband.
Pastor, in this case, the pastor's response was, oh, give him time, be patient. So this doesn't look like a pastor who was going to do anything about it.
No, he wants to play. You see, we know our sheep. If you are a true shepherd, you know your sheep. And he knows that he cannot call that man a son. You see, I have spiritual fathers who can rebuke me. They can talk to me straight. If I do anything wrong and my wife tells them, they can come and say, you can't do that. Stop this one at once. We have many in our churches that the pastor cannot call them and say, don't do this to your wife. You know you can. You know that guy comes to church, but he doesn't respect you. So when the wife comes to tell you something like that, and you don't want to involve yourself in all the politics and all that, all you do is, oh, it shall be well. I will pray with you. The Lord will do it. Everything will be fine. A pastor who is smart will tell him to call me. Because he knows that if I call him, he will turn into something else. So if he wants my counsel, if he wants my leadership as a father, let him come to me and I will be willing to help. Because I know him. Sometimes these pastors know their sons.
So that's quite hypothetical. So what if it's not an issue of if I call him, he won't come? Because I also feel that even if it's an issue of if I call him, he won't come, don't you think that the onus lies on the pastor to make the effort and let the other person refuse to come? Because ideally, it doesn't even help if we are in the church and your husband goes to church somewhere, you go to church somewhere. It's not the ideal situation. It's not the best. But if both of us are in the church and you are my pastor and I come to you to tell you how my husband is not being able to fulfill or neglecting me at home or not fulfilling me sexually and everything, and you don't make an attempt at all because when you call him, he wouldn't come. I don't think that you're giving me, the wife, the help that is needed as well.
Yeah, you see, you may not always get all the help that you expect from your pastor. That's why the Bible says that the arm of flesh will fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes, let me balance what I said earlier. Sometimes the pastor himself doesn't even know what he's going to say if he calls the person. Yeah. Sometimes the pastor himself is having the same problem in his marriage. Okay, so it's not bold enough to say. Sometimes the man has already confided in the pastor behind the scenes that this is a problem I'm having with my wife, and these are the reasons. Sometimes there might have been a previous issue where maybe the man had an issue with the woman's behavior, insubordination. Maybe the way my wife talks to me, she's too aggressive on me. She doesn't submit to me. She's not. I can't lead her. I can't control her. And please, I say it with good intention. I don't mean like abusing your wife. but the husband should be the one in charge, leading. But maybe there is this man who feels, I've lost control over my wife. I can't tell her, sit down for her to sit down. I can't tell her, do this for her to do. And when it happens like that for a man, men naturally are designed to be the ones who are leading. They are designed to be the ones who have the authority. So when a man loses authority over his wife, he also loses his sexual prowess over her. Okay, so sometimes maybe at the early part of the marriage, an issue like this might have cropped up. They've already spoken to the pastor. It's hypothetical, please. It might have been that the woman is still strong. I stand in my whatever. Or some of these modern day ladies who are these 31st December women. I know my right. I know this. You can't do this to me. You can't. You can't do that to me. You can't do this. You can't do that. And when you are a woman and you behave like that, you literally kill your husband's sex drive towards you. And if the pastor is aware of things like that, he may just say, oh, it shall be well. You have chosen your path. You've chosen to be a Yas Antoine. So he's also decided to. You see, one thing that is very sexually exciting for a man is to have a wife who is a woman, who is soft, who is malleable, who can be led, who can melt into your arms. Nobody wants to marry a soldier woman. Am
I malleable?
But you know what you want, and I know how to work with you
and manage you.
Yeah. It takes a wise man. You see, it takes a wise man, especially
to
wisdom
that's what the Bible says,
or knowledge. For example, my wife is my classmate, right? She had higher grades than me, both sixth form and university, right? She's more vocal. She was more vocal in school and all that. It takes a lot of tact. She's not a soft thing like you think. She's very tough, very opinionated, very strong. But you, the man, also need some level of wisdom to know how to work around her. But then she also knows how to balance it. She knows how to be my little girl, and she knows how to be that mother.
Baby. Yeah.
And sometimes when she becomes the mother, I fight her that you can't be my mother. You are my wife. Every wife sometimes wants to be a mother, okay? But a good woman knows how to balance the two. She knows when to stand strong and when to be that soft little sweet baby that you have.
Well, we've got so many comments.
Exactly.
I know.
We have to come back for a part 2. Yes. So let's take this from Bishop George Crepy. He's saying that some men are just bad lovers and very arrogant and proud.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
have had a situation like that. When you call the man, they will come all right, listen to what you have to say, but when they get home, they'll tell their wives, the pastor cannot tell me how to run my
marriage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bishop Crepy. That is what I was trying to drive at the first instance. Very true. Any more comments?
Right. So in talking about this issue, Jemima is saying that, well, my point is pray and someone is mind for the discussion.
Exactly.
Find an appropriate time, like you said. We shouldn't always run to pastors.
Yeah.
That's what Jemima is also saying.
Okay.
Sometimes even books can help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because and the approach is like, hey, I really want to enjoy sex with you. I really want to be the best lover, that you can, that I can ever be. And this book is designed or is rated to help us. Is it okay if we read it together? That approach, and saying that just for you out there, Pastor Derek and Pastor Sergio have got a lovely book that we need to let you know about that says God's Spices for Marriage, and then they also have another one called Built to Last. We'll be doing a free giveaway.
Stay with us.
Yes, stay with us. We see those who stay with us for longest, and then those who will ask intriguing questions. Okay.
We'll give you free books.
We'll give you be intentional. We'll get some of the books and then we'll send it to you. We'll get in touch with you. Okay. So I
have a question or a comment here. Well, Jemima is saying that unfortunately, most husbands are not interested in marriage seminars.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big issue.
Mention her name. Who is that? Jemima.
Jemima,
yeah. A lot of men, they don't like to read.
Yeah.
They don't want to attend seminars.
Yeah.
It's their pride. It's their pride. It's their pride. You see, I have said this before and I'm saying it again. Most of the time, if the marriage will fail, it's because of the man. Most men are ignorant and arrogant and lazy.
Unwilling to learn. Yeah.
Ignorant, arrogant, and lazy. Unwilling to learn. Unwilling to learn. So they frustrate the woman. They frustrate the woman until things go pear-shaped. So it's very, very important. It's very, very, very important that we look at that side as well.
And then sadly, when you are going into a marriage, all the older women in the family will call you and advise you as a young lady. How often are the men advised and who advises them?
Yeah, nobody advises them.
That's right.
That's right. We don't see, you see your aunties and your grandmother and who not, all these aunties coming to sit you there and telling you, oh, as a woman, you have to do this, do that, your husband, do this in your home. Nobody is talking to the man. The man is walking freely, doing whatever he wants. There was a comment that said, I don't remember who said it, but the person said that most of the things young boys know about sex is from pornography, which unfortunately is a sad truth. Even in the Christian circles, these men watch some of these things because one, they will not sit down to be taught, and maybe they are too proud to even go and ask anybody, can you teach me about this or that?
That's absolutely true. Because the thing is that whatever the man is watching forms an object or an image in his mind. And so it's important that our men are set free from this addiction. If you've not had sex for a long time, for months and things like that, and you're a woman, you're not concerned about what your husband is doing, you don't think he's doing something, how can he go that long and all that? We are also, as much as we're spiritual beings, we also emotionally and physically, we're there. So it's important.
It's not normal.
It's not. So you need to question it, and you need to talk, and then you need to try and find ways to. One thing that can help, because with a man, especially when you're having sex, it's important that you keep the lights on and watch your partner. It really helps because you feel an image. Yes, a lot of the women want to do it in the dark. A lot of women want to do it in the dark. I've learned that it doesn't help because there's when there's orgasm and things like that, it releases some kind of chemical hormones in your brain.
Oxytocin. It's called oxytocin.
Yes, turn on the lights. It doesn't have to be black lights, but like some dim yellow, red lights.
Flood lights.
Yes. So and let your wife be the object of your passion, your object of your focus, whilst you are doing it. Because when the image is printed in your head, it helps you. You see all other women as trees, and it doesn't matter her size, her weight, and that. But you appreciate her. I know a lot of women are talking about their bodies, but you're the man. You need to really let them know that you love them.
Yeah.
And you love their body.
I'll call you for our counseling session. A lot of info.
Yes.
That's powerful. Yeah. That's powerful. Okay, so maybe we can move on to the next question.
I would read one that I have here. This is from a man. He says, my wife is a youth pastor of our church. In fact, it was through her I became a committed Christian. Our only child is 3 years old, and within the 3 years, we've only been intimate sexually twice.
Can you imagine?
It started from an excuse of her breastfeeding, needing some space to have the baby in the bed at night, to moaning about my snoring that keeps her awake. For almost 3 years after our baby. So it actually means they've been married 6 years now. For almost 3 years after our baby, she kept breastfeeding, and then withholding of the intimacy had a toll on me. She has time for all church activities, but barely have time for us. I've gained so much weight, And now my weight is her major reason she can't have sex with me, according to her. Not that I'm too heavy for her, but she tells me I don't appeal to her and not attracted to her anymore due to my weight. She finds a reason to blame me for everything that happens in our marriage. I am tired, I am fed up. I cannot call it quits because we are Christians, but I don't know any other way.
All right. Okay. Number one, what I sympathize with you, sir. But then what have you done about any of the complaints your wife has given? Okay. What have you done about any of the complaints that your wife has given out? Because it's not enough to play the victim, that she's blaming me for everything. She's complaining about everything. Okay, maybe the snoring is a problem for her. Have you sought help? Have you tried to do anything about it? Or have you just brushed it aside that that's another complaint there? She's complaining about your weight. What have you done about it? You've heard me just say that my wife complained about my weight, and I am beating myself, constantly working to try to at least for her to see that I am making an effort. Okay, at least I am making her see that I am making an effort trying to lose this weight. So it's not enough to just take the blame, to just say that my wife says I'm snoring, my wife says I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Do something, make an effort, let her see that you are trying to solve the problem. Because you see, there is no smoke without fire. Yes, I'll come to the woman's side of it, but we are even instructed by scripture to make sure that no matter what happens, we should ensure that we are not the one who is at blame. We should make sure that we are not the one who is at blame. If your wife has complained, what have you done about it? Have you made her see that you are making any effort to try to resolve any of those things she has complained about? Then we go on to the other side as well. Could it be that she has a deep-seated psychological, physiological, or spiritual problem? Maybe she experiences severe pain when you have sex with her. Do you have an unusually big penis? Or does she have anything like maybe is it vaginitis? There's something that yes, so she struggles to expand enough to contain you. Are you making sure that she's well lubricated before you have sex? Is it a pleasurable experience for her, or is it a painful experience for her? Are you just having sex as a mechanical thing, or is the love there? Is there a connection? Are you relating with her in a loving way throughout? Are the two of you clicking? If we were not even having sex, are we flowing? Is that friendship there? There are so many reasons why a woman will back off. But to say that for years to pass by, that it's a very, very serious situation. Either the first warning signs were given and my brother has not taken enough steps to resolve them, and the woman is entrenched in a position that until I see these things solved, I am not going to budge. Or there is a serious spiritual issue. Sometimes when people come up with questions like this, they fail to add everything. Sometimes they present it only from their viewpoint. If you brought the lady to also say what she has, the story may be completely different. Sometimes there might be in-laws involved. There might be economic situations involved. Maybe you are only sitting at home. You are not going to work. You are not bringing anything. I have to go out, work hard, come back, make sure there is food, take care of the children. You want sex as well. Some women can be completely switched off. So we cannot have a one cup fit all answer to questions like this until you have both parties sitting in front of you where you can ask more questions. Then the real truth will come out.
So before Mama Selji comes in, so for what you are saying is, for this issue, for you to get to the bottom of this, both of you have to be honest and go to somebody and sit and talk.
Exactly.
And tell the truth as it is. But what if the other person is not willing to bring out the truth?
That is where then the problem cannot be solved. Then eventually the marriage will break up. They are not willing to work at it.
Yes, I was. What I wanted to say was that all these things the guy has said, because the first point of contact is your wife. has he been able to sit down with his wife to break his consent? Number one, why are you breastfeeding our baby for 3 years? Yeah, that's the first issue. What is there anything I am doing, or is there any issue? Before you quickly jump to the pastor or whoever you want to take your problem to, have you sat down to talk one-on-one with your wife, with your husband? So she has time for all church activities. My dear, I feel neglected in this marriage.
Yeah.
I feel you're having time for everybody apart from me. I am your husband, and I would like you to make a few changes to accommodate my needs. Has he done that? Because in the whatever that he's saying, in the complaint that he wrote, there was nothing like, I have done this. I have spoken to her.
I spoke to her. I spoke to him. In fact, I spoke to the lady as well. But maybe being the first time of speaking to the lady, she wasn't willing to open up.
But
she didn't come up with anything apart from the fact that, she agreed with what the husband said.
No, I'm saying, has the husband spoken to her directly?
Yes.
He has. He sat down.
Yes, he has.
And what? Okay, so you spoke to her, and she just agreed to that. Yes,
she agreed. She said it's true. Yes, but one thing was, she talked about the weight, and the husband honestly said yes, he hasn't done anything about the weight. And
fine,
but
then we have it.
So are we trying to say that for 3 years he's put on, and for 3 years he knows the weight is an issue and he hasn't done anything about it?
But let me play the devil's advocate here, Mommy.
Please do.
Is that good enough a reason to deny your husband?
No, we are not saying that is good enough a reason to deny your husband. But then I need to be able to connect with you, to be able to be intimate with you in that connection. And there's something you can do about it. Why don't you also do it?
Take responsibility.
Why don't you also do it?
He hasn't done anything though about it.
So I'm trying to meet your need by being intimate with you. Why don't you meet my need by doing something about your weight so that I can? Otherwise, it will be.
But you see, to add to what Mommy is saying, sometimes when things happen like this, it's that the man has lost his appeal and his authority in the marriage for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a woman who is calling the shots.
Yeah.
And when women, one thing I've learned through all these things, when a woman becomes the man in the marriage, she doesn't want to have sex. You, the man, should be the man and let the woman remain a woman. When she remains a woman, she would easily flow back. When you lose your authority, you lose your control. The woman is in charge, is doing everything, calling the shots. She will not add sex because sex is also an act of submission. When a woman is having sex with her husband, it is an act of submitting to him. And so when the roles change, it's very hard for the woman to now come and submit in the night.
You see,
if she's the boss, if she's the boss in the day, she cannot automatically become the wife at night.
Before we go on,
the man must.
Okay,
the man must work on himself. He must gym hard, get a six-pack, make sure his job is going well, make sure his spiritual life is going. Make sure his spiritual life is going on well, make sure he's disciplined. Work on yourself in such a way, become like the way she desired to marry you. And it will be easy for her to flow with you. I'm not saying this will solve all the problems, but the man must become the man in the house.
But sorry, is there any reason why he hasn't done anything about his weight for the past? If it is really a problem for him, why hasn't he done anything about it?
It was. I think it was, well, from what I heard him say, it was more of excuse from work schedule and everything. They haven't had time. He hasn't had the time to work on himself. But I think he was also standing on the fence of, is that a good reason? Is that not a good reason, but is that enough for you to deprive me all these years? You see,
it is not enough.
What he
depending on the quality of the marriage. In our marriage, God forbid, but if we have that problem, my wife will not deny me sex. I have that assurance. But some marriages are already teetering on the brink. So any little thing becomes a good excuse. Okay, so you must work on yourself. Don't give the devil a chance.
A foothold.
And I was going to add something to what Mommy was saying, that when your wife has complained about your weight for 3 years and you have not done anything about it, it could be a sign to show that there are so many other things that you are being negligent about, that you are not being a responsible husband. And if you are not being a responsible husband, my brother, you are not going to get it. These things, it is easier to get sex outside of marriage than to get it inside of marriage. If you are not a responsible man.
There is one I would read, is similar, but this has a bit of something I want us to talk about. And this one says, it's been nearly 5 years since my wife and I got intimate. 5 years.
5 years?
Yes. We kept ourselves apart until we got married. But as soon as after our first month, I saw signs of her not wanting to get intimate with me anymore. Initially, I thought it was pregnancy that brought it on. But even after having our child, she refuses to get intimate with me. And when I talk about it, whenever I bring it up, she asks me, is that all you know? After 3 years, I couldn't hold it anymore. I resolved to masturbating, which only make me feel worse afterwards. I have no desire to be an eunuch for Christ. How long is my season of bearing the cross going to be? I've never felt more rejected in my life, nor have no self-esteem problems like I feel now. Can she actually refuse to have sex continually over a long period of time like this and expect me to remain faithful? What do I do?
You see, sometimes the wickedness that we are meting out to each other in our marriages is amazing. No, this is evil.
Yeah.
This is
5 years.
It's evil.
It's really ungodly, yeah.
Because you have to know that this is it's a necessary need. It's something your husband needs it, your wife needs it. Either way, whichever way. So if you're a wife and you've denied your husband for 5 years, you have literally abdicated the marital bed.
Yeah.
And when it happens like this, divorce can be sought. And I'm not sitting here trying to promote divorce or saying divorce is godly. But one thing we also know is that even when we have blessed a marriage in a wedding, if it is not consummated, it is not a marriage, and it can be annulled. It can be dissolved. So if we are in this marriage for 5 years without any legitimate reason, we are not having sex, we are not allowing me to have sex with you, the marriage is off. I mean, it's just a marriage in name, but this is not anything we call a marriage.
Within these 5 years, or for all these 5 years, are they still living together in the same house? Are they still together?
They are living together. They are living together. And from what we discussed behind closed doors, you could actually tell the woman is, I think the woman is suffering from intimacy anorexia, because she really doesn't see the point. She doesn't feel for sex. She doesn't see the gravity of what her husband is saying. And every time the husband brings it up, she goes like, is that all you know?
That's right.
And this man now has stopped talking about it, so has resolved to masturbating, which is another issue on its own altogether. And what the man wants to know is, I can't keep masturbating.
Yeah.
I still love my wife, because even in that moment of masturbating, he's thinking about his wife. So is it okay for me to call it quits because it's not working, or do I have to?
Sorry, the woman is not giving any tangible excuse as to why.
No.
She hasn't got any reason.
That is wickedness. That is wickedness.
Could that be intentional? She's being intentional.
It is actually, when you study intimacy anorexia, it's actually intentional.
Yeah.
It's intentional because their bodies are precious to them. They haven't got to the understanding of marriage being living and cleaving, and mine belongs to yours and yours belong to me. So they're protecting, you know what you love, you protect. So they're protecting what they love, and what they love is me.
So and it's the same, you see. A woman who does this,
giving herself out, is a part of her is broken down. Humiliated
which means that she doesn't even understand what it means to be married. And she's frustrating somebody's son. What she's doing is the same as the man going out there and sleeping with somebody. She's committing adultery by denying her husband access to her body.
Really?
The Bible, oh yes. It says that defraud not one another. First Corinthians. Wait. Give it to me. First Corinthians 7. You've taken my this thing. Oh, sorry. Just give me a second. First Corinthians 7:5. First Corinthians 7:5. It says, okay, let me take it even from upstairs a little. Now, okay, let me take it from verse. Let me start from 1. Now, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman if he doesn't want to marry. There's nothing wrong with that. Verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife. Why do we fornicate? We fornicate with sex. When you go to have a drink with a woman, you haven't fornicated. It's because of sex. And the Bible says that to avoid you having sex with other people randomly, let everyone have his own wife, which means that if I marry you, you must agree to have regular
it's part of the contract. It's part of the covenant.
Daily sex with me.
Come on,
so once you break that, you have already broken the covenant. If the man walks out, he has not sinned before God. Let's look at it. To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife. So if I have my wife and she has no medical reason or proper reason why she's denying me, she's not even acting as a wife. Let every woman have their own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. When he says due, you see, when we say that your bill is due, what does it mean? It means you have a legal requirement. You have a legal requirement to pay it, to give it out. You are legally required due benevolence. The wife is legally required to give herself to her husband. The husband is legally required to give himself to the wife. Likewise, also the husband has no power. No, where am I? Okay. Number 4, the wife has no power over her own body. The wife has no right. The wife has no right to say that this is my body, you can't have me, you can't touch me.
Really?
It's illegal. It's in the scriptures. Right. It says that the wife has no power over her own body, but the husband has the right. The husband has that power. And likewise also, the husband has no power over his own body, but the wife. So you don't have any right in a marriage to say, I will not allow you. You can't touch me. You can't have me if you are a Christian. Okay? Let's go on.
Wow.
Verse 5. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourself to fasting and prayer, and come together again immediately, so that Satan does not tempt you for your incontinency. So he said that when you deny your husband sex, you are a fraud. He says, defraud ye. No, look at the start of the verse 5. Look at the start of the verse 5. He said, defraud ye not one another. Any husband or wife who denies her husband sex is a fraud before God. You and the armed robber on the street are the same. You and the person, the Nigerian, not Nigerian, anybody does that. These 419 people who send all these scam letters around to steal money from people or rob people of their money. You and them, you look the same in God's sight. You may think you are holy, but if you deny your husband or your wife's sex, you are a sinner in God's sight. You are a thief before God. And you are hurting someone's son. You are hurting someone's daughter. Satan has entered you. Repent and get sexing.
Repent and get what?
Sexing.
And get what?
I'm reading.
Get sexing.
I'm reading comments here and looking at what people. Please, the quotation is Juliet. The quotation is
First Corinthians chapter 7, 1 to 5.
Or probably 1 to 5. Now, I'm just thinking, could it be that this woman has a problem that she's not able to talk about?
I think she does. There is no way she hasn't got a problem.
Yes, I think maybe there's a problem she's struggling to share with anybody or to share with somebody.
Yes.
Probably.
There is definitely a problem. I mean, there is definitely a problem. But the thing is, if you are not willing to talk about the problem, if you're not willing to seek for help, if you're not willing to change, then what is the man supposed to do? Then you are part of the problem. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why she doesn't want to talk about the problem?
It could be anything. We don't know.
She hasn't admitted she has a problem anyway. So that is where it has to start from. If you admit this is not normal, then you look, then you can be helped.
So she's not being fair. She's not being fair with the man at all.
Exactly.
At all. And in this case,
Pastor, do you know what I think about? It looks like we're talking more about the Christian woman, but most of these that came to me were problems with the women, the women being the ones that were suffering from this kind of intimacy anorexia. But the thing with the Christian marriages, especially those I got to speak with when the emails came, excuse me to say, it was just enough for them to be married.
Yeah.
And they are very sure, 100% sure that their husbands will not go out.
Yeah.
Because the questions I asked.
Pastor, wait, sorry, Minister Chesca. That is one issue we have in the kingdom.
It's bad.
Which is not good at all. Never ever think that because my husband is a Christian,
or he's a pastor,
he will not cheat. And therefore, I have the right to treat him anyhow because I know he will not cheat. The Bible says that woe unto him through whom, it says offenses will come, but woe unto him through whom the offense will come.
Yeah, you will be judged.
So don't sit down and say that I am married to a pastor, but I will never for once sit down and say I am denying my husband sex because I know he's a pastor and he will not cheat on me. You will be having to hear the pastors cheating.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of these pastors cheat not because they want to cheat, but because they are
a lot of pastors go through things
because they are pushed into it. You are walking there thinking, okay, I am a wife, I'm married to a Christian sister, so I can do anything to her, I can treat her anyhow and she will not cheat on me. I'm married to a Christian brother. I'm not by this statement saying that it is okay to cheat when you are denied sex. No. What I'm saying is that we should not go about with that mentality thinking I'm a Christian, I'm married to a Christian, so I can treat him or her anyhow, and I'm expecting them to still abide by the rules. Remember that they are also human beings, and when it gets to a place where they lose it, you have a part to play in that consequence. Whatever consequence comes on them, you have a share of it because you contributed to that. So as much as it is within your power, live at peace with all men, including your wife, including your husband, and play your role effectively so that they will not be in the position to point fingers at you and say that I did that because of you.
And you see, when you do that, your prayers even don't get answered. Tell me that scripture. Your prayers even get hindered. And you know what? God can remove you. If this husband or your wife, either whoever is doing it, if you're a husband, you're abusing your wife, either physically or by denying them all these things, or if you're a wife, you are denying your husband. If they cry on God, God has a way of removing you so that his child can be free. Because this is one of the reasons why some people die young. I'm telling you, it's one of the reasons why you will see some little thing will happen and you just die, so that the man will be free to go and marry somebody else. We don't have to take people's heart for granted, though. We should not take people's heart for granted. I have a principle that I abide by, and I always want to share it with people. I have chosen to live with my wife in such a way that when I stand before God, I can confidently tell God that, God, the woman you gave me, I treated her well.
Wow.
I did my best for her.
Wow.
That is my personal principle. And I pray that all couples will have this thing in their mind, that you should play your role, that when you stand before God, you can put your hand on it and say, God, I might have missed this or that, but you know that this man or this woman you gave me, I gave him or her my best. I never denied them of any good thing that was due them.
Wow.
So we've got to be very careful. We've got to be very, very, very careful.
I've got another question here.
Yeah.
And I think this person's question had to do with keeping secrets that's led to other things. He said, my wife and I married as best friends, and we've been married for 12 years. We have 3 kids, and all seems to be going well until recently. I have kept a secret, my secret of being abused when I was a child from her. And this has with time affected our sex life. So before I continue, what he was trying to say here was that even though they are very good friends and they're married and they love each other, on his part, he has a secret he's kept. And so he's not able to fully relate to the wife as he's supposed to. She's a very emotional, sensitive person and not likely to trust me after knowing I kept such a secret from her. Unfortunately, I cheated on her once, not physically, but emotionally with someone else. And she found out without me telling her myself. So this could end us if she finds out. However, this is causing havoc in our marriage at the moment. I can't function the way I used to be anymore sexually and unable to admit it to her. But I do know this is down to the childhood trauma secrets I've been keeping. What is the way out? I don't want to lose my wife.
Number one, how is it that childhood trauma thing did not affect their sex life at the beginning?
For the past 12 years.
Yes, that was a typical question I asked. But he kind of managed to push it aside. But you know what secrets and trauma can do? It's a matter of time. It will take its toll on you. So listening to him, in the beginning, it was something he had been able to put it under in a box and pulled himself. But as they were in the marriage, got to know each other, and the marriage was going with all the challenges that come to marriage, it hit him again. Now, instead of him opening up and admitting to his wife, he ended up opening up to another woman.
Okay, sorry. Why couldn't he open up to his wife, but he could open up to another one? What was the relationship between him and that woman? He
couldn't. This was just a woman he thought he spoke to. The woman was loving enough or receptive enough or understanding enough. But whatever it is, it was his choice to speak to that person. And then emotionally they connected, and emotionally it ended up such that they were attached, and the wife found out later. That has been forgiven, that has been dealt with, but his fear now is, should he bring back this one and tell the wife, it's been 12 years they've been married, how come you haven't told me this all this while? And then to think, for me, I found it very dangerous if he should go to the wife and say, that is why I ended up cheating emotionally. It's like you're coming up with a sob story. But realistically, listening to him, you could tell that that thing has been there. And one, he's holding on to it for all these years has been the worst choice he made, you know, and has just pushed him to another woman who he didn't think could get carried away. And now he still wants his marriage, but he doesn't know how to break this news to the wife.
I don't think that the story adds up completely, to be honest with you. The story doesn't add up fully because and sometimes my responses to some of these things could be a bit mean, but it's the truth.
No, it's all right.
It's the truth. Okay. My wife and I are best friends. There should be no reason why, no matter what the trauma is, that I will be bold enough to another woman without talking to my own wife. It is very likely that they were having issues in their marriage, and then that drove him away from his wife and into the arms of the other woman, and to also try to calm his conscience that what I'm doing is not really wrong. possibly opened up this issue with this woman so that it could be as the reason why the two of them have connected. The real reason for what has happened is that the man is not interested in, he actually got more attached to the other. He desired or wanted the other woman more than his wife. And this trauma thing is only being used as the excuse for it, but it's not really what it is, because my wife and I are best friends. No, there are things every now and then we still sit down and we try to probe into each other's past. Even now, after 18 years of marriage, we still sit down and we talk. I try to probe and she also tries to probe, and we mock and we say, and sometimes confessions come up.
Do you have anything more to confess? Let's be real.
Your confessions.
So blessed beyond belief is saying that, I bet consolation from the opposite sex always turns sexual. And then Dickness Diana is saying that sometimes it's harder to speak to the one you love if you think it will change their view of you, how they see. Emotions are complex. Nothing to lose with a stranger. It could be a reason.
I don't think this woman was really a stranger. There was a desire.
Right. Remember you saying that she agreed to it doesn't add up.
Yeah, because once if you said it's a stranger, why is it that now emotionally all of a sudden you are connected, you are tied? If I come to tell you, let's say I was raped when I was a child, all of a sudden you want to kiss me.
Well,
no, something doesn't.
They didn't have sex. No, they didn't have sex.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
I said you want to.
Cheating.
I said you want to. There was the want. And don't forget, Jesus said that when you look at a woman last week, you have already committed adultery with her. So you see, sometimes we modern people have nice terms to try to extricate ourselves from the traps of sin. So it was an emotional attack. Brother, if the opportunity had presented itself, they would have done it physically too. Yeah. Once it happens emotionally, the door is open for the physical thing to happen. Let's call a spade and stop calling it a didn't implement.
Pastor Derek and
Yes,
Pastor Selji, can a sexless marriage survive? And would it be right to end a marriage due to lack of intimacy?
No and yes.
Yes.
a sexless marriage will not survive. It's only a matter of time. Sex is the lubricant that keeps their marriage going.
Come on now.
The only time we are not able to have sex, maybe we are giving ourselves to fasting or for health reasons, it's understandable. God forbid, but for some reason, your husband cannot have an erection. Your wife is experiencing extreme discomfort, or for some other health reason, the two of you cannot actually have sex. It's good that, once again, as Christians, to be compassionate and stick with each other and help each other. But the thing works. Everything functions fine. And somebody is being selfish and fraudulent by deciding to deny the other party access to their body. They have already broken the covenant. It's only a matter of time. The plane is going to come down. Only a matter of time. It is going to crash. So it will not survive. It will not survive.
Right. To add to what Pastor Derek is saying, the only thing that actually joins us together as a couple is sex. I can go and eat anywhere. I can talk to anybody. I can sleep anywhere. But the only thing that makes us a couple is that time of intimacy.
That the two of us can only have sex, just me and you. Yes, us.
So when the Bible says that the two of them became one, that is what the Bible, where there's that sexual intimacy between the one flesh. So if that is not happening, then we can't say that we are one flesh. And that is going to bring you food, watching TV, entertainment, going out. Any other thing can be done with anybody at all, at any time. So if sex is not in the marriage, then the marriage will not survive in the long run. It will just be a matter of time, but in the long run, it will not survive.
So if you say it will not survive, has one person got a right to say, because we are not getting intimate, because it's a sexless marriage, I'm calling it quits?
Yeah, I've given you Bible scriptures. Yeah. I've given you scriptures. If you missed it, there's a scriptural basis. Sometimes people say that because God says he hates divorce. No, if you divorce, you are on your way to hell. but it is not always the case. Okay, from 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 to 5, it tells you clearly the reason why we marry is to avoid fornication. So if I'm married to you and you are not solving that problem, and I still have the tendency to find myself committing fornication, and this time even adultery, then why don't I walk away so that I can get into a marriage that will save me from fornication?
So I would say that before you walk away, try counseling, try talking to us. I mean, play your part. Try to solve the problem. Put the necessary breaks on so that the divorce, you don't just get up and divorce. Can I do this? Can we talk about it? Can we pray about it? Can we go for counseling? Do all the necessary things. If it doesn't work at all and there's no sex in the marriage, if you are walking out
and you can't control yourself, the Bible says if you are burning, marry. Yes, the case you've married and you are still burning, then go and marry the one who will help you not to burn. You see, many of us are quick to judge people who go through divorce, and we think that once you are divorced, you are going to hell. Not all divorcees are going to hell. I'm telling you, not all divorcees are going to hell. Let's not be quick to put a blanket in on it that if you have divorced, you don't qualify before God. Not all divorcees are going to hell. Some people needed to divorce, and God understood it. Because if I'm married to you for 5 years, you don't allow me to have sex with you. Sister, I will go and have sex with somebody outside. If you know that is me. And if I don't want to do that, then I will let us break the marriage. Well, I'll go and marry somebody else so that I can continue having my sex. What's the point in being married and still be burning? It says, if you are burning, marry. There are so many scriptures that tells you that marriage, one main thing is for sex. If we cannot have sex, there's no point of us being married. I didn't ask for a business partner.
that is right. Business partner. So sometimes even before a marriage can heal in relation to physical intimacy and sex and things, that there are many phases that I have to go through to bring them to that point. And so, like my said, we just don't jump into that. You have to go through maybe months and years of help, get a life coach, buy books, all those kind of things. The most important thing that we miss out is the fact that we study a lot to pursue a degree, a career, and everything, but marriage that is long-term, lifelong, we never invest anything. Many of us have marriage books sitting on the shelves, which we are starting to pick, and then we realize that we miss out a lot. There are things that you could have learned a long time ago that would have helped your marriage now, but still, it's not too late. People out there, you can still get good investing in marriage with these. With the knowledge is out there now. It's not like back in the day whereby it was a hush thing. Now you can really learn and improve your marriage. So along those lines, we're talking about the church and so forth. I just want to ask that in view of the fact that we've said that marriage or sex is God's idea, what are the practical ways or practical things that churches can do, or if you have an example of what your church is doing to help improve life of couples who are going through these things, or even if they're not going through it, just like what kind of blueprint are we laying down to make sure that they don't go through this? And then also, that's for couples who are already in it. And then how about those who are now coming, the up and coming, the youth? I'm really concerned about them because we have a lot of comments about single people and all that. So the question is twofold. So what we're doing now to help those who are currently going through issues, or even those who are seem fine, but things they need to do to still keep on the right track. And the second thing is about the young ones. What are we doing to make sure that they never get into the situation that we the other ones have got into?
Right. Okay. So wait, for us as a couple, as pastors in our church, we have on our church calendar at least 4 times a year that we do marriage and single seminar for our church members. I try to incorporate marital issues in my sermons as often as I can. But the funny side, the people who rather have issues in their marriages often try to shun, they don't want to attend. They are the ones who complain. Some complain, oh, every day he says the same thing. Oh, we are tired of this. There are people in my church who have financial and marital issues. They are the ones who will not even come on the broadcast. They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't say they don't want to know. You see, most of the times, I told you from the beginning that marital failure is as a result of pride. Not it's a combination of these three evils: ignorance, arrogance, and foolishness. Ignorance, arrogance, and foolishness. If you have these three evils, your marriage will fail. It's bound to fail. So these people complain, they murmur, they criticize, they mock, they don't learn. Meanwhile, they are not enjoying their marriage. Their marriage is breaking their neck, but they will not humble themselves to learn. Those whose marriages are doing well are rather the ones who are always opening themselves up for more knowledge. They are always on the broadcast. They are always attending the seminar. They want to know more. They want to know more. Okay? And sometimes that is what it is. It is what it is. The pastor can only do his best. But if the person is not willing to learn, you can take a horse to the river. You cannot choke it with the water. You can't force it to drink. Okay, so it's not just us. I know that many pastors are willing. For example, there are couples who are having a problem in their marriage. In our church, for example, and one will want the other. Never allow the pastor to hear of my issue. Don't let them know. I don't want the pastors to know. Meanwhile, the marriage is breaking down. And say, we must not let the pastors know. What can you do? I know they are struggling, but they have decided not to involve. So I cannot help you. I just leave you to your own device. There's nothing I can do. I can pray for you, but that is all I can do. And it's not just our church. I talk to other pastors. Many pastors have the same issue. People who have problems are the ones rather who will not humble themselves to be helped. What do you do?
Is there some kind of a compulsory kind of classes that people might need to attend? Like the way maybe, for example, in some churches, you need to maybe have like a baptism class, or maybe things like that, maybe a new believers class, things like that, that where people go through if they want to join. I mean, you can't really force anybody to do anything, but sometimes you could put certain things in place. So for example, if people who are courting, maybe they have maybe a year or two before they get married, is this something that we can do quickly to start to educate them way before they start their marriage counseling? Because we had a session last time with Auntie Jenny, a life coach, and she was saying that it's time that we started turning the marriage counseling into marriage education, whereby we start, way before the time. So by the time they get there,
it all involves time, whether we've got the time to do all of that. And so if you are blessed, for example, to have a pastor like me, who almost every Saturday, I'm up doing this thing. And people around the world are listening. They are calling in with their questions. People are calling after, seeking counsel and all that. And you sit next to it and you refuse to take advantage of it. We've written books on marriage. It will amaze you. People are reading these books from around the world. People are writing. I've read reviews from Australia, from here. People buying the books, reading. You'll be amazed to know there are people sitting under my nose. They've never read it. What can you do about it?
That's right. I agree. I agree with you, because you can only put it out there, and you can't force the people to eat. Like you said, it's usually those who are rather even doing well, who want to learn more. Because it will be surprised. It will surprise. I started this building authentic intimacy in February, and you'll be amazed even on Facebook how many friends or how many people have sent me messages behind closed doors asking like, "What is this that you're doing? What is this that is sex, intimacy?" I have people who have unfollowed me, and
can you imagine?
And have unfriended me because what I'm talking is not what they believe in. And they are Christians and we all sit in the church. So I usually joke about it. I go like, I'll let you know when I'm done. And then you can send in a friend request and I'll bring you on. But you're wondering, you're married, I'm married. What we are talking is in the context of God. So what is the problem?
People can be funny. People can be very funny.
Can I just take you back a little bit, because there was a pressing question that a man married somebody, the man lives in the UK, but married this lady in Ghana. And for the past 10 years hasn't been, because we were talking about a sexless, where there's no sex in the marriage, you have to walk away and all that. So the lady is asking what happens then? Because the wife is in Ghana, the husband is here, they've been married for 10 years and they are not together. The man is here, the woman is in Ghana.
That one is not intentional, maybe situational. Yeah. Okay, maybe situational. Even though that still drastically weakens the marriage.
It does.
And such marriages often don't survive. But that is not really a legitimate reason, because it's not intentional. The person has traveled. If opportunities have not arisen for them to come, you cannot just walk away. I'm talking about the person who is lying in the same bed with you and is denying you for years.
Right. Also, but realistically, with the answer you just gave, if we're going back to the fact that men have sex drive that needs to be fulfilled for 10 years apart, truly, how is the man surviving?
Most of these men, they have found something else. They found something else.
So how do you just hold on to such a marriage because it's situational?
But we do not have the proof that they are doing something. As far as we are concerned, they are doing nothing.
But we can't bury our head in the sand that nothing is being done. No, it's
as far as we are concerned,
they are doing nothing.
Yeah. There's something you can do. Unless you send an investigative person to follow and to find out if he's found a new girlfriend here. I know many people who have their wives in Ghana and they are doing all sorts of things here, and the wife doesn't know. Okay, they think
but the wife cannot be that naive to think that nothing else is going on.
For 10 years, we haven't had any.
So maybe she's just happy with the idea that I'm married and my husband is outside
abroad,
and he sends money and he feeds the children. I mean, sends food, cash to feed the children.
So some people.
I'm a missus, and that's all. And then they have the idea that men cheat, so it's fine. Once he's treating.
And sometimes some of these women who are left behind also have their own things they do behind this.
Yeah.
So we leave that one to God as we continue.
I think we've been on for a while, but I'll ask this question. It's so practically.
I don't have a problem. I love doing this.
One thing that I have realized is that sometimes the reason why we don't utilize something is because we really don't know the benefits of it. Yeah. Because sometimes we're ignorant of the benefits of something. And so we end up, because if you have a present sitting on your table and it's wrapped and you still haven't been able to unwrap it, or whatever present, you unwrap it and you don't know how to use it fully, you wouldn't enjoy what it does. So I think that sometimes the reason why people are not enjoying sex or not embracing the idea of sex being God's idea is because they don't know the benefits.
Yeah.
So practically, what are the benefits of sex apart from making babies?
All right. Sex has a lot of benefits. There are emotional benefits, the sense of belonging, the sense of feeling loved, the sense of being able to go naked before another party and not being ashamed. The Bible says, and them two were naked before each other and they were not ashamed.
That's right.
You see, everybody wants that one ultimate confidant where they can be absolutely naked before and not feel ashamed. And we get this in sex, in marriage. Okay, so the emotional pleasure as well that it gives. You go out and this world throws a lot of burdens and stress on you. When you have sex, you are renewed. Sex regenerates your emotions. It takes away the pains, it takes away the frustrations. You see, that point when you are at the point of ejaculation or orgasm, you see, you forget about everything in the world.
Tell me about it.
You forget you haven't paid the bills. You forget. At that point, you forget everything and you just fly. It's a moment where you escape into worlds unknown and worlds untold. And it helps you. It helps you. Statistics show that people who live alone, people who do not engage in sex alone, are more prone to suicide, more prone to depression, more prone to drug abuse, and all these things, because the emotions, it just piles up. They don't have the outlet. Yeah, they don't live long as well. People who are in good, healthy marriages normally live longer than others. Of course, we have exceptions in all these things.
Yes.
And then also psychologically, mentally, sex delivers you from depression. It delivers you from a whole lot of things.
Could you repeat that again, please?
It delivers you from depression. The more you have sex, the less likely you are to be depressed.
Hey, also with this one, you have to bring proof.
Oh, I can bring you proof. Most of the people you see who are so depressed is because they are not having enough sex, or they are not having enough good sex. Sex. Yeah. And you feel unwanted, you feel unliked, you feel alone, you are carrying your burdens alone. But once your bodies come together, bone to bone, flesh to flesh, and the two have become one flesh and things are happening inside of you, that kind of psychological things get released. And by the time you finish, you feel I am wanted, I am liked, I am desired, I am important. And it builds your confidence.
That's right.
It builds your confidence. If look, women who like to quarrel a lot at the workplace, they are those who often either they don't have a husband or they are not having good sex in their homes.
Some women.
They take offense about everything. And it affects men as well. Some men who don't get sex or they don't get enough sex, you see that their confidence is not strong enough. Okay, so it boosts confidence both for men and for women, and then physiologically, it makes you more. You see, the more you ejaculate as a man, your testosterone development is strengthened, and you are more masculine. You look more like a man. You talk.
Come on now, forget the gym. Forget the gym. Forget the gym.
You think like a man. You think like a man. Then also it is exercise. You burn a lot of calories. You burn a lot of calories during sex.
Come
on, calories.
Yeah, you burn a lot of calories during sex, and then it also releases hormones that makes you look more beautiful and more handsome.
The pimples and things, they just go away from your face, isn't it? Yes, your skin. It brightens up. Come on. I'm loving this. I felt that.
Then it relieves headache. It relieves headache.
I like that.
And then it reduces the probability of you being able to acquire cervical cancer and breast cancer and prostate cancer.
Come on now.
Do you know that to save men from prostate cancer, it is required that you ejaculate at least 21 times in a month, at least minimum 21 times.
What a shock!
If you want to keep a healthy prostate, right? You want a healthy prostate, you must ejaculate at least 21 times a month.
Wow.
Right? So, and the sperm itself, when it is released into the cervix, it has healing properties. It nourishes and refreshes the cell. Okay, so the benefits are immense. The benefits are so many. Maybe I have to write a book on 99 reasons why you must have sex.
Write it, Pastor. Come on.
99 reasons. 99 reasons why you must have sex.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
The benefits are many.
I mean, let me be a little spiritual here.
Yes.
Yes. Another benefit of of sex is for us to bring godly children, because that is what God says.
That they said it at first that apart from the children,
no, it's not just children, it's godly children. No, Pastor, it's not just children, it's godly children. Godly children. Because you can bring any child into the world, but the child will not necessarily be godly. And I think one other nice thing about sex is the fact that it helps you to calm down. When you go out and you've gone to do all the things you need to do, and you need something to just to calm you down, to relax, you need to just relax. It helps you to
it helps you to sleep.
I'm learning so much.
It helps you to sleep.
I think that for a woman it helps you to know that you are wanted and you are loved.
I mean, why I couldn't sleep last night.
Why? The Bible says that he given his blood to sleep. There's no sleep for the wicked. Why couldn't you sleep last night?
Nothing happened.
Pastor Derek, we on air.
Carry on.
I'm being blessed. Wow.
Pray for me. Pray for me. So, for 24 hours, I've not been able to do anything.
Can you believe it? 24 hours.
It's a serious problem.
That's what I said.
It's a serious problem.
Too much information.
It's a serious problem. Can you imagine? Wow. 24 hours, nothing.
And then
how can I sleep?
It is only in times of intimacy with your spouse that you can actually talk to God whilst you're doing it, and you will not feel guilty, because you know that God is having a good time just watching you enjoy each other. God is having a good time seeing the way you are loving each other.
It's an act of worship too.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
So there are, as for the benefits of sex, there are so many of them. In a nutshell, it's really, really good to have sex, but it has to be done in the right context.
Yeah. Because that's key, because our children are exposed to this thing now more than ever, you know. And we have to be able to guide them as Christian parents, to educate them and to draw their mind to God's way instead of what the world is trying to bombard them with. Thank you so much. Yeah,
that's right.
So we would. I mean, I'm sure there are other things you would bring in, but for now, we would move on to the solution or the step in hope journey that we can take with intimacy anorexia, with people who are suffering from intimacy anorexia for many reasons. It could be down to trauma, it could be down to medical reasons, it could be intentional, it could be habits, because I think that the whole situation of intimacy anorexia, apart from the medical bit, is a mind thing. And so you have learned it and you can unlearn it. However far you've gone into it, you can unlearn it. So we want to kind of talk about some of the solutions or the practical steps that people can take, people who are in a relationship or married to people suffering from intimacy anorexia, what they can do practically to get this done, because sometimes it's easier for us to put it out there and tell people, this is what God's words say, so you need to do it. You need to, your body belongs to your husband, your body belongs to your wife, so you need to. Sometimes you're telling me I need to, but in my mind, I don't know how.
Yes.
Because if I've been married 10 years, 15 years, not ever getting to know how to take the initiative when it comes to making love. You telling me, because it's God's word, is not good enough for me to just get up and take initiative. So some of the practical ways we put down, I think Ken mentioned the first one, which we can't go too much into, but it's about your sex knowing the sex language of your spouse.
And even you yourself, you need to know what your sex language is, because usually it will be different. You don't usually get two people with the same, kind of sex language. And so there has to be talking, there has to be negotiating to be able to meet each other at the point of need. Like I said, I know mine, and because I know mine, at first, when I didn't know this, I was thinking hers is the same, so every time I'm trying to do it as, the way I would want it to be done for me, but hers was completely different, and it causes a bit of frustration, but once I got to know, it's easier, we're able to flow more, if I should put it that way. Because it's not a daytime show, so kids are still I can't go too much into stuff.
So like you said, there are keys.
Yeah.
There are keys. You have got to look for what key opens what
the door.
In my wife's head. What key opened what in my husband's head? And then you try to use them. And this will require a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight. You've got to be a reader. You've got to be a listener. And you've got to learn how to study your own partner, how to study your wife, study your husband, know what triggers them, what drives them, what, like you said, the various love languages. And then you use them appropriately. Okay. But the problem we have is that many people do not want to do the extra. Once they marry, they feel that people put all the effort into the wedding. And once the wedding is done, they don't invest in the marriage itself.
That's right.
So if you really want to have good sex in your marriage, you've got to invest in the marriage. Invest in the marriage. So how some of the ways to invest? Books, like you have said, movies on marriage. We watch a lot of movies and documentaries on marriage. We read books on marriage, and then be willing to spend money on their marriage. Be willing to spend money on your spouse. If there is any reason why you think they are struggling to flow sexually, relieve them. If they are overworking, let them cut down on their work. Either work at home or even work at work. If they are working, let them take 1 or 2 days off. It may affect you financially, but fine. If she can get a day or two to rest so that she can be herself, do so. Yeah. Spend time and go on holidays. Go for date nights.
That one.
See, go for holidays, just the two of you. It's not always the children. Children are the bane of many sexual issues in marriages. Children, baby. And you see, mothers are naturally designed to take care of babies. And so they will always want it. But you, the man, must find a way of helping her so that she will not be so much committed to just taking care of baby. But
exactly.
she knows she will get help. If you can have third parties in who can step in to help every now and then, make sure you've got that available so that the two of you can get times, regular times away, where it's just the two of you. You can get to bond and connect each other. Date nights, regular evenings where you take long walks alone, or you go and sit in a restaurant alone. You eat together, just the two of you. Simple things like getting in the shower together, bathing together. Simple things like that can trigger.
You're surprised a lot of people find that hard to do. A lot of people find that hard to do. Yeah.
You see, simple things. Cooking together, going out for visitation, let's go and visit a father together, do some voluntary work together, just the two of you. Do some of these things. There are so many things. Buying gifts for each other, spending on each other, watching the influence of third parties outside, in-laws. In-laws and friends can also be serious problem for the flow of sex. And then financial issues. Issues. When the woman, for example, my wife, she doesn't want me to owe, neither does she want not to have money. So she wouldn't want me to buy anything on credit. She wouldn't. You see, she's so attached to her money that if I mess up with money, she is like, okay. So some of these things, some people, that's their love language. They feel comfortable when we are financially okay. Okay? So she doesn't want you to waste money. She's happy to wear one shoe for 10 years so far as she will have the money in her account than to spend it. So when you spend it, you know that you are disturbing it. So look, be sensitive with each other. Look out for what are the things that make my wife restless. And then you minimize them. And rather do the thing that will make her more relaxed and then also privacy. Privacy. many of us are living in such a way that we cannot have sex alone without a child opening the door or a neighbor hearing. If where you are living is not allowing your sex life to thrive, move the other people who are too close to you. Because one reason why hotel sex is very sweet is the freedom you have to scream and to do all the things you want to do, knowing that your children are not around. Hey, mommy, what are you doing? Daddy, what are you doing? That's why you must take time to go.
It's a real problem.
Often.
Yeah.
Or travel somewhere where nobody knows you, so that even when you scream, nobody knows what you are doing there. In the night, you can shout all night, and then when you finish, you check out and you come home. Okay, and everything. So privacy. A lot of couples cannot enjoy proper sex without the fear of their children hearing them or a neighbor hearing them.
Yeah.
So everything is done quite. The phone is always
Nicodemously.
on mute. Yeah, it's on mute or on vibration, just little vibration. I feel something. No, but it must come out. It must come out. He said, let them shout for joy.
Right, I have an urgent question here.
Yeah.
I have an issue. I have not seen my wife for almost 4 years, and most of the time I feel the urge of having sex. But anytime we engage in sex, I feel so guilty. In fact, it's even affecting my relationship with God. I can't pray, and I feel so guilty in church. The other issue is that all the time me and my wife have tried to engage in phone sex, it has always come from me. I have been the one initiating it. She has never initiated it. Is this normal with women?
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal with women. A woman will not easily, comfortably get up and get on the phone and remove her pass and say, look.
It's not, don't generalize this. So say some women.
All right, yes, some women. So it all borders on communication, how you can flow to make sure that your wife becomes comfortable with it, that she's happy to. But don't expect her to initiate, especially when you are away. She doesn't know where you are. Women like to protect their privacy. She doesn't know where you are. She doesn't know what you are doing. She doesn't know if you want her. And then all of a sudden she comes and she wants to initiate process. So if you are apart, do your best to make the most of it. Be the man. Be in charge. Be in charge until such a time as the two of you can be together so that you can do what is right. Yeah.
I think, okay, sorry.
But the other thing he said was that it is affecting his relationship with God. The phone sex is affecting his relationship.
No, he said is it the phone sex that is affecting his relationship? Yeah. Or the sexual sex outside of marriage?
Yeah, he says the phone sex because came directly to my inbox. So
all right, yeah. I mean, if it's affected, then do something about it. If you need to go back home and stay with your wife. You see, sometimes
that's the question I was about to ask. Yes.
Excuse me, sometimes I'm too blunt, and that's why people don't like me. But sometimes we overrate Europe and we overrate America and all these kind of things.
Yeah, go home.
Sometimes we think it's when you are in Europe that you will leave. We have colleagues, we have classmates back in Ghana, back in various countries who are doing so well.
Yes.
Sometimes you even have regrets why you are wasting your life in Europe. You see, and it's affected. Your wife is there, you are here, and you are trying and struggling and all that. If you think that it's taking too long for you to be able to settle in order to be on board, go back home. You have no idea the opportunities God will open for you there.
Yes.
I had a colleague who was sleeping in my living room, right? He was a classmate from sixth form. He was sleeping in my living room. Life was rough. Was doing security. I told him, listen, brother, the way this is going, go back to Ghana.
Home.
Now, if you see his house at East Legon, you will be amazed. He runs a financial company. He's dusted. He's doing so well now. He would have wasted his life hanging around here, waiting and waiting and waiting. Yes. So let's not, sometimes let God lead you. Let's not allow Europe to become the all in all. Too many hearts have been broken because of this Europe business.
European, yeah.
And talk of the phone sexing, it's quite a dangerous and risky thing to be doing in our day and age, because you can never trust technology and what is leaking out there. So that is quite serious. in as much as you're getting a form of satisfaction. And then on days, I think through that can even lead to pornography as well. Because on days that you're not doing that with your wife, you might be tempted to then go onto the internet to find somebody else. So I don't think it's the ideal situation to be in at all. And then I think another thing that we have talked about, but we have to kind of mention again as a solution is acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge that you are the one who is having that problem in the marriage. And not push it on to the children because of the children, because of this. Because what I got from these people who spoke to me or who sent me this conversation, it was like they blame everybody but themselves.
That's right.
You know, they blame everybody but themselves. But you have to come to that point where you acknowledge the role that you have played as well in all of this. And then you also have to be empathetic, because put yourself in the shoes of that spouse that you have denied 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Like, how?
I mean,
I didn't realize these things existed, but they do.
They do.
And they do in the church.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you need to put yourself, it's because it's not about you. You need to put yourself in the shoes of that person. What do you expect that person to do? Should the person walk out? Should the person go and cheat? Should the person, and again, you have to also identify the barriers. What exactly is stopping you? So it could be just a mentality, something you grew up with. It could be a scar that is always showing up every time you have to get intimate with somebody. It could be your own lack of understanding. You know, so these are kind of practical steps that people, but one thing that Pastor, you said about the going to the hotel and everything, that when it comes to the intimacy, anorexic, I know somebody, when that happens, when even they have to go on holiday, that is when the wife will pick up a quarrel.
Will sabotage it,
To sabotage the time they are going, because the whole anorexia situation is such that I shouldn't be alone with you. I shouldn't be in good terms with you, just so you don't make any advances. Sexually.
You know, some of these things are spiritual. Some of these things are spiritual. I tell you, some of these things are demonic. Some of them are strongly demonic. Sometimes a husband or a wife whose spouse is going through this, and you have to dedicate some 3 days dry and pray and break certain things. Some of them are spiritual. Some of them are spiritual.
So I think in taking a spouse on that date, practically when that happens, it shouldn't be, let's say if it's Ken and I'm the one who is suffering from the intimacy anorexia, it shouldn't be him saying, let's go to the hotel. This time it has to be me taking the initiative, because I'm the one supposed to overcome what it is. So there has to be that thing in place whereby if you really want this marriage, if it's not something, because you can't eat your cake and have it. You're telling me you don't want me to walk out, yet you're not giving it to me. So if you really want this marriage and we're going to work it, now the onus lies on you to be the one who is arranging for the date night, to be the one who is giving me the good night kiss, to be the one
initiating sex.
Initiating sex, exactly.
For quite a long time, so you break the habit.
You will see that many of these people who are stuck in these things, excuse my language, are married to, and please don't take offense if you are listening to me out there, married to, excuse me to say, weak people who cannot take firm decisions. Because if you really know that as you are denying me, I'm walking away. You see, many of them have spouses that they know he will not do anything. There's nothing he can do. That is why they keep on doing that thing. But if the man really walks away, you'll be the one begging, say, come, I'll give it to you.
But also for the thing with walking away is, practically when it comes to walking away, it's not an easy thing, decision to make either. Because especially when there are children involved, you need to consider some of these people are in positions in church and everything. So it's not really walking away easily. And these couples, the partners know that they cannot just walk away. It's not even down to the fact that the person is weak, but you've got so much to lose if you walk away. So you'd rather stick your head in it.
Yeah, but you stick your head in there and you suffer to an extent where you may end up losing everything. But one day you are going to sleep with one chorister or a youth girl and you'll be removed from everything so you've got to be bold. I know a man of God and please don't quote me, but his wife started taking advantage of him in a similar way. Constantly went on and on and on and on. He would always try to humble, he always tried to do everything to make it work. One day he put his feet down and said, enough. Everybody thought that because one thing the wife always used to threaten the man is that I don't have a ministry. It's you who is known worldwide. It's you whose ministry will go down. Everybody will reject you. But when the man put his feet down ultimately and he took the decision, now the woman is the one going about saying, I was the one at fault. I'm the one who did it to him. I am sorry for this. And the woman is really, really in a very sad position now. And when everybody thought that the man was going to be destroyed, God in his mercy has lifted the man one more time, even better than it was in the past. Sometimes, you see, God is not like us. God is not a religious person. God is not a religious person. God looks at the heart. Sometimes he knows that some people take certain decisions because of things they go through. But we are quick to just judge and just plaster one verse and say, the Bible says this, so you are in error. But sometimes God knows that the woman would have destroyed the man or would have broken the marriage long before this man came out to say that enough is enough. So sometimes we shouldn't be afraid. We should take bold steps. God will fight for us. Don't just sit down and die. Even the lepers were able to say, why sit we
here? Come on. Yeah.
I just want to add to what we are saying. That so the other thing you need to ask yourself, if you are the one suffering from these issues, am I happy being treated the way I am treating my spouse? Because that is one thing they don't find out. They don't think about. The Bible says we should do unto others what we want others to do unto them. So ask yourself, if the tables were turned, and I'm in my husband's or my wife's shoes, would I be happy? How would I take it? Now, if you are thinking like that or you are self-reflecting on such things, then you'll be in a better position to want to work on it so that the issue is solved.
But you see, that many people are so selfish. They don't think like this.
Yes, but that is what Christ expects us to do.
People don't care about Christ. People are selfish. You know the things we hear in this thing. People are so selfish. People think only about themselves in marriages. Many people you talk, selfishness. Everybody's entrenched in their place. They are only thinking about their feelings, what they want. Nobody's caring about the other. It is a sad thing.
It is. I mean, because you stressed on it earlier. We see that it's part of the marriage covenant, to fulfill each other, not defrauding one another. I think people don't see it like that. They can be all spiritual in church and all that kind of thing, but you don't see that what they're doing is actually sinning against God at home. Because you're sinning against your husband, you're sinning against your wife. And we talk about it, but it's not that a lot of men do that. A lot of men deny their wives. And so the wife literally wants to drag them and, for sex because, so it's important that we recognize that you can't go and be spiritual outside and not be spiritual in the home. And
let me give you a scripture. Let me give you a scripture. 1 Peter 3:7. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, which means that wives should also be considerate as they live with their husbands. Treat them with respect as the weaker vessel and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. If you are not treating each other well, if your wife is not having orgasm, your prayers are being hindered. God is not. If your wife is not, God is not hearing your prayers.
Come on.
He was actually struggling with like he pulled without even noticing.
I'm being blessed.
If your wife is not having orgasm, your prayers are not being heard.
They need to hear it.
If your husband,
need to hear it.
If your husband is not ejaculating, your prayers are not being heard. If your wife is not having orgasm, your prayers are not being heard. You are only doing religion. I told you, God is not a religious person. God is looking beyond what we are doing. It's not about what It's not what we are doing in church for everybody to say, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. A lot of what we are doing out there, God has swept it away long time. It's people who are clapping for you.
Yes, come on. Also, I'm passionate.
Clapping for you, but God has thrown you away.
Yeah, because seriously, people need to know that it's not like we know everything and we have so much experience or whatever. No, we don't. But these are things that can help a lot of people. I'm enjoying mine. I want others to enjoy it with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying so much because because I know that people are not having it the same way, and it's a shame, and it's a lot of people, and sometimes we need to share some of these things. And the things that there's a lot of things I feel I haven't learned at all. I'm still striving. I'm still working towards make it better. So something about when you hear some of the stories that what some of my brothers and friends are going through, it's
serious.
We hear some of these things from the pulpit. God bless you so much. God bless you so much.
Very important.
I don't know if there are any questions that you've got there.
There are so many comments.
Okay, Mommy says there are so many comments.
Let's just go through a few and then we can bring it to a close.
There are no questions. So
right.
Go back as much as you can. Let's go through them.
My request is not being answered. I have to ask. Yeah, somebody said, next time when my request is not being answered, I have to ask my husband if he has ejaculated.
Oh, yes. Yeah, if he's enjoying. If he's not enjoying. If you do cadaveric sex, where your husband will pester you and then okay, come, then you go and lie down like a dead body. Your prayers will not be here. As you have to be doing all sorts of things, and then when he finishes, you can look at God and say, God, look at how I have satisfied this man. That alone will make your prayers go. Selfishness is destroying us. Mommy, go.
Somebody says, do unto others as you want others to do unto you.
Exactly.
And also, I usually struggle with that quotation. You know why? Do unto others as you want them to do to you. Some people don't love themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't love themselves. Some people hate themselves. And so they can't hate somebody else. So if it boils down to do unto me I should do unto you as I want you to do to me, they can only treat you the way they are treating themselves.
There's an answer to that.
That means
isn't it?
So share with us.
Yeah. Because Jesus has changed the goalpost concerning that. Now it's not love your neighbor as yourself. He says that love as I have loved you. So the and even before he said, a new commandment I give unto you. This is brand new. Okay, so now you don't love us as yourself, because like you said, but you love as Christ loved you.
Christ has loved. Yeah, very true. Very true.
Also, for you, an apostle now, I tell you.
Okay, let's go for questions.
There are no questions, just comment.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe I'll read a few comments. Anatu, hello, Asafu Mami, it's been a while. I hope you are well. She's saying, very insightful, close to you all. And Mama, I won't be quite saying, thank you, Victor. Inshiraba is saying, this was a fantastic session. I was doing my daughter's hair. So how to use headphones today, it was worth it. Well done. We thank God. This is a gift is saying people have baggages and cannot let go and enjoy being loved. And blessed beyond people saying, hey, so your coming is in somebody's hand. The very reason for female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
We've read that. Some people are too selfless, but it is just not appreciated. If your wife is not having orgasm or your husband is not ejaculating or your prayers are not being heard. And there are claps and smiles and yeah.
Thank you so much. Osafo, we have been so blessed.
Yes.
I have learned a lot. Yes, the Rambo ones and everything. I mean, we're going to have to look into it. Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers, our followers, and our fans for staying with us all. We've done over 3 hours, and come to think of it, we didn't even start on time because of the technical problems we had. Pastor Selji, we thank you so much. We've learned. I think you two should come up with some kind of syllabus or course, curriculum or something for the marriage education, not for.
It's in the pipeline. We are thinking.
Yes. Not necessarily.
We have ideas
for those getting into marriage, but for singles, because some of these things. Yesterday, I was on a program. I was giving a talk on a program, and one thing that I mentioned, I was telling them about going to hire a car or rent a car or buy a car or an aeroplane. There are so many investigations you would do if you should go and buy an aircraft. You would think about where it has been, the engine size, how it performs in bad weather, everything. And these are things you would investigate, because the last thing you want to think about is be in the air and your plane is going to crash. But when it comes to marriage, we don't do any investigations about the person we want to marry. We don't investigate how they respond to challenging situations, how they respond to tragic situations, losing a job. How do they react? Does their world come to an end because this is befalling them? You know, we don't do all that to learn, because sometimes we are actually afraid of what we may find and have to let the person go. But if we are doing these things, I think most of the problems we have in our marriages would to some extent be resolved even before we get that.
And also our generation is a lot lighter than the previous generation. We are not tough. We are not able to endure hardship. We are not able to overcome things. We are not able to see challenges and rise above them and do what is still expected of us. We are a generation of excuses. Everybody has a reason why they can't do something. Everybody is offended. We go for big words and big terms, and we use that to excuse us. It's basic selfishness. It's basic pride. It's basic greed. It's basic. Just go for the simple thing. But we'll go for a wonderful term. By the time the person goes to look for the meaning, time is gone. Okay, so we are full of words, but full of less. Almost empty in terms of virtue and power and grace and action. We've got to become deep. We've got to become deep, and it starts from the pulpit. We have not taught the Christians of today the way the Christians of yesterday were taught. How to go through difficulty, how to go through challenge, how to overcome, how to love irrespective. You see, our generation has a problem. Our generation has a problem.
God help us.
May God help us. May God help us.
God help us. God help us. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a continuation to the question about the cold sex. Goes on to say, so when we talked about it, I asked the person whether they were okay. And this is the response I got. Okay, I have your suggestion. I try not to bring sex up in a daily conversation, but even though I feel a strong edge about it, but I find it strange she never talks about sex with me. She'll just say, I have missed you. Is she really talking about the same thing in a different way from a woman's perspective?
Yeah.
Because I go real with it. She'll just say, I have missed you.
Yeah, it's part of it. When a woman says she's missed you, she's not just missed your face, she's missed your hold, your touch, everything.
It's not always automatic though. But
Nanaya is saying you'll be waiting for your free book, please, because it's really commented.
Yeah, the books.
It's really commented.
Nanaya. So those who need the books who have to contact
before we go to the books about the question Pastor Selji just came up with. It could be many things. It could be that she's a wife who is not that she's not into sex, but she hasn't been brought up in a way to talk sexually. Let me just put it that way.
Especially when you are not in front of her.
Yes.
Especially if she has to talk over a phone, it may be too much of an issue for her.
Exactly. And sometimes it's, like I said, it's upbringing. I came from a background where it doesn't matter how far you travel and how long you've been gone for. You could have been gone 10 years. When you come home, mom is there, dad is there, siblings are there. Like, they just sit and look at you like, oh, you're back. As if you just went to town and came back. Like, no hugs, no I miss you, no I love you. So trust me, it was seriously a difficult thing for those words to come out of my mouth. To say I love you, I miss you, I want you. Like,
you want me. I want to.
You have no idea how hard it was not to even talk of you just coming to hold me and then do it in public. Like, ooh.
She used to hit my hands. Those times when
really
unconsciously when
when we got married.
Then first, it was
then you hit her buttocks. Then you hit her buttocks.
I forgot we were married for about 3 to 4 months into our marriage. Honestly, I forgot we were married. And then whilst I'm sleeping in the night, like, I feel something like around me, and then I'm like, stop it. And then I go, oh, I'm sorry. Like, oh, then I apologize when I'm awake. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, but because I was sleeping, at some point we had to agree, Master, if you want to wake me up, please. Don't do it whilst I'm sleeping, because my mind cannot process you touching me to start with. So, and I have forgotten in my sleep, I'm a married woman now.
Yeah. So in your dreams, you were still singing.
Yeah. She's keeping herself holy, and
I'm thinking, what did you touch me for? Like, I literally wake up, talk, and I was aggressive. What did you touch me? Stop! What did you touch? Yes, as funny as it is, it was not a nice thing for the first few months. So I had to keep reminding myself, you are married. This is what it is. This is what it happens at night when you sleep and he wakes you up. I had to reach you a lot. And then I had to also learn to be the one taking initiative to give initiative to say, I love you, initiative to, it wasn't easy or thoughtful because it doesn't come naturally. It didn't come naturally to me.
She's done so well. It's amazing.
He was the opposite. He was the opposite. I mean, he was the cuddly, huggy, kissy, whatever you can, like, Ken want to grab you, Ken wants you to sit on his lap, Ken wants to do everything. Like, and I had to learn. I had to learn. So I wouldn't be too hard on this person. But the other side of it too, that it could also be a sign of intimacy anorexia. So if they are really apart, and years are passing by, it's a conversation they have to start bringing up in their conversation. Do you miss me? Would you want to have sex with me? Would you want to? They have to talk about it practically.
Would you want to have sex with me?
Yeah, when we finish. Not now.
I think some other time we have to talk about, ways of doing the sex thing well,
Yeah.
Are you sure you can handle
Many people don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Have you seen how my mouth is like that? But with this topic, you see how he is. Like, this is his power.
His area. It's his area. His speciality.
I'm a student.
I get surprised when people say that I am loud and Ken is quiet. There are 2 areas if you want to see who he is. Sex and music. No, 3. And the word of God. These 3 places. Like, everything rises up in him.
Sister, you have to prepare special. You have to prepare a special offering for church tomorrow. You are blessed to have a man like that. A husband who likes the word of God, music, and sex. You are gone. I mean, you are finished.
Okay, we are on social media, by the way. We haven't closed. We are still on, so people are watching. And listen.
It is.
Oh, we've had such a great time. Thank you so much. Please tell us about your book. I have Nanayao down. I have Mami Odame down as well.
Please, those of you who have answered and been very active on this platform, just give me your name. Blessed Beyond Belief has been really, really active. Our Mekwa has been very active as well. Jemima, you are in trouble, though. Jemima Jampo has been.
We are actually giving out 3. So it depends on what we get out of these numbers. We're giving 3 books, 3 of the books.
We will double it. Is it 3 of each?
Yeah, 3 of each. Yeah.
Okay, so we will also double it. We'll also add 3 of each. So we have 12 books to give out.
Unfortunately, my chat went off, so I missed some names. But I think I remember.
We can find out.
We'll go back and
we'll go back and find out.
Yeah. And then we have to contact them for them to bring us their addresses. So we can post it to them. Okay.
But if they are not in UK, then it will be a big.
Yeah, but
we will definitely find a way to get it to them.
If they are in Ghana, I know where they can get the copies.
Yeah, if they're in Ghana, we can get them copies in Ghana.
Okay, so I would say that if you're in Ghana, let me know. Just send a message to me in your inbox that you're in Ghana with your number, and I will get you the book.
Yeah.
If you're in the UK, just let me know you're in the UK with your address, and then
and if you are on my Be Intentional page, get in touch with me.
Yes.
And I'll show you where to get those books from. But
and those of
let's support our own.
Yeah, those of you who want to buy if you go to Amazon, Amazon.com, you can buy. If you look for God's Spices for Marriage by Selgilia Agre Solomon, you get it on Amazon. If you look for Built to Last on Amazon as well. Oh yeah, thank you. You can find them on Amazon as well. You can find them on Amazon, and you can get one there. But those that we need to give free copies. If you are in Ghana, let us know. We can give you free copies. Actually, we are looking for an agent in Ghana. We are looking for an extra agent in Ghana to sell some of our books with commission in Ghana. So if you are interested, message us. Let's see if we can do business as well. That would be a blessing.
Yeah, and you know the way we were saying that men don't invest in marriage in terms of educating themselves. I want to put it out there.
Somebody's in Jamaica.
Okay, we can
post it to Jamaica.
We can post it to Jamaica. There is this book by Reverend Fifi Pentel called The Ultimate Husband. Any man on this platform should have a look at that book. And it is what you need. So we would recommend that book to anybody on this platform. Pastor, actually, you should get in touch with him and his wife. They're a very lovely couple. I think you've been on their platform before. Yeah, they are marriage counselors as well, and they are death in marriage. It's just a joy when you meet pastors who are very practical about what marriage and sex is. It's just liberating to
are they in the UK?
They are in the US.
In the US. Okay.
Yes, they are in the US. So
Mama Parts.
We will be coming up with their programs as well. We'll be putting it out there. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are on today and sharing it, and those who will be viewing every Saturday, Pastor, what time on Saturdays do you have the marriage school?
Let us by 3 p.m. UK time.
3 p.m. UK time. Please don't miss it. I always have a date and want to be on there. Even if I'm not able to make it, I watch the video afterwards because what you say there are so practical. Everybody would need that. Thank you so much, Reverend Eric and Selgilia Grace Solomon. God bless you. As we are going, could you please pray and speak life into all these marriages, especially onto those that are suffering from this intimacy, anorexia, and the sexless marriage, that those who are not being able to bring themselves to relate to their spouse intimately, God will give them the grace and open their eyes for them to catch that vision or that God's idea of what sex is. and be able to go for it. So please, if you can join for us to pray.
Right, let's pray. Father, we give you all the glory, honor, and adoration for once again giving us the opportunity to sit under your feet and learn. Father, I want to pray for every one of our listeners this evening, that Lord, those who are married, those who are trusting you for marriage, those who have been divorced, those who are in pain, whatever their situation, the Lord, you come through for them. Specifically, we are praying for those who have experienced this sexless marriage, or those who are not enjoying sex in their marriage. Lord, we know that sex is your idea, and your purpose for sex is for us to enjoy it and not to endure it. Lord, we are praying for a release of your power. Those who are struggling, Lord, whatever the cause may be, whatever the problem may be, in the name of Jesus, we pray for a miracle. We pray for a breakthrough in the name of Jesus. Lord, what if probably it could be a spiritual problem? We pray for divine intervention in the name of Jesus. Lord, we are praying for those who have also had painful sex or experiences that are causing them not to enjoy some of these, not to enjoy sex, Lord. In the name of Jesus, we pray for your healing. We pray for your healing. Lord, we pray those who have had bad experiences for your comfort as well. Lord, we pray for healing. We pray for comfort in the name of Jesus. And Lord, we are praying, Lord, for knowledge that, Lord, those who do not know, you will open their understanding and speak to them. Holy Ghost, you created marriage. You are the only one who can teach us better when it comes to sex and the things related to sex. So, Holy Ghost, we pray that you teach us. We pray that you teach these people. We pray that you open their understanding, that they will understand and know that sex is part of marriage. And Lord, we are praying that you give them the grace to enjoy it. Because, Lord, if you don't help them to enjoy it, they will not be able to enjoy it. Give them the grace to enjoy it in the name of Jesus. We want to pray for people whose marriages are struggling. Lord, we pray for a restoration. Restore, my Lord. Restore the joy. Restore the peace. Restore the love. Restore the respect. Restore, Lord, whatever is missing from their marriages in the name of Jesus. And we pray for a revival. Those whose love for each other is dead, Lord, we pray that you revive their love for each other in the name of Jesus. Let there be joy once more in the homes of your children. Let there be peace once more. Let there be love once more in the name of Jesus. We thank you and we give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. God bless you so much. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
God bless
you so
you.
much.
We really appreciate this.
We are grateful. Thank you for having us. Trusting God, we'll have another session soon.
Yes.
By the grace of God. So on that note, we will leave you.
Thank you.
I have an appointment. She told me that. So we are going to do it.
I think I'm going to consider the standing order, I should be setting up a standing order.
It's there. It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing.
I think I've headache.
You have headache?
Yeah.
It's in my boxes. Paracetamol. I'm going to get it for you. So it is well. We thank you all.
God bless you. We love you all.
Thank you. We love you.
And those who have stayed with us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Oh dear.
The intentional